Hello everybody and welcome to Chaotic Neutral Games and our D&D 5th edition campaign, The Benefactor. I'm here with Felicia, Rodrigo, Corinne, Nick and Kate as we go to session 28 of this campaign. There's a few things to start off with before we get into the session. We have our usual friends of the show. We have Geeky Clean. Please check them out with the link below. We will have the usual Ren advert in the break at 9:30. And also, please check out any of our artists who are in the stream information below and support them, get commissions from them. They're fantastic. We love them to bits. So, let's get the guys up first. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
So, over the last week, I have employed our one and only subscriber, the lovely Rattlesire, or at Rattlesire, or Rattle, as we call it. And I gave him some choices as to how to use your finesse points outside of battle. So each of you has a separate ability that has now been added to your repertoire, that if you have a finesse point, you're out of battle, you want to use it anyway, especially considering we've made a change now that your finesse points will now disappear on a long rest, not at the end of a session. So each session there will be a vote, but every long rest they'll all disappear again. Okay, so we'll still have our votes during the break, but if you take a long rest directly after the break, you lose them. Them's the breaks. So first of all, Rodrigo, the one that was chosen for Aiden is the ability whatever. Aiden can burn a finesse point to make a target less interested in a task, action, or subject. So you have got the power of apathy. Now, Aiden doesn't realise he's doing this. It's something that just happens naturally. Rodrigo uses the point, not Aiden. Okay? So he doesn't have the ability to just go, woobly woobly, you now don't give a shit. You, as Rodrigo, can burn the finesse point and say, so for example, if someone's following you, you can say, yeah, they're less interested. Sometimes, if they're already fed up of what they're doing, they'll just abandon it, just out of narrative detail. If they know they have to do it, they will become incredibly sloppy of how they do it, so they will do things with disadvantage, or, you know, they won't remember as much detail as they would if they were trying to do it. Powerful. Whatever, as the ability says. This can also be used aggressively to other players. So, for example, if somebody is flirting with Glory and you use the whatever on the NPC, they will be less interested and she'll have to work harder.
Thank you, Simon. You just told me literally the only thing I'll be using the finesse point for.
Yeah. This will never ever be used for anything else in our campaign ever again.
Oh my God. But remember, what goes around comes around.
I know.
I will send you guys a link with the all the details on it in just a sec. So, farewell. Yours was a little more dramatic because
oh dear,
Rattle chose "They Scream My Name." Farewell.
Oh shit.
Farewell can burn a finesse point, although it's Nick can burn a finesse point to invoke unease or outright fear between a target and either a person, item, or location. So they will not want to go and visit a building, or maybe they just don't like the look of that weird ass sword that's on the floor, and so they won't pick it up unless they know they have to. Or you can just get someone to be really uneasy about another person, to be more wary, more paranoid. Okay?
So you're telling me that this is my spray bottle to stop the cats from playing with things?
It turns out the things that Rattle chose have a little bit of a theme. Not all of them, but some of them.
Yeah, I can see that.
Cora, yours is quite interesting. Yours is Once Upon a Dream. Cora can burn a finesse point to provoke a moment of deja vu in a target, making them feel like they've met her before. I'll actually extend that to say that it makes them feel they have met someone before. or been in a location before. So I'll errata that slightly and make it person or location.
Cool.
Okay.
Are you
Felicia.
gonna pop us via Discord the information?
Yes, I'll send you a link in a second. And you're incredibly quiet, Kate, if you want to increase your gain.
Oh.
What?
Felicia, you have
Mhm.
lust,
How's that?
darling. Lust.
Of course.
Thank you.
It doesn't do what you think it does, but it does something similar to what you think it does. Glory can burn a finesse point to suddenly provoke a fantasy in the mind of a target about a second target if they are capable of being attracted to them. Now, that doesn't mean they fall in love. It could have the opposite effect. It could mean that they suddenly have this vivid fantasy about that person, and that's the thing that drives them off. So you can use it in a kind of mildly chaotic, not quite controlled way. So you could use it to get someone to run away from someone, if they're the nervous type. Or to get someone to get a little more obsessive if they're the opposite. You have to know the person and predict the outcome before you blow the ability. And if you're wrong, you're wrong.
So
And-
Glory literally has the power of horny on main.
Yeah. Yes.
In a way, yes. It's not to say that
You
the
know.
fantasy is welcome. She will provoke
You
a
know.
thought that is there. They have to be capable of having that thought. So she doesn't so much create the thought, but it bubbles up from in their subconscious, whether it's just under the surface or deep, deep down. And depending on where it's from, it will either shock them, disturb them, make them want to run away, or it could provoke them to continue or enhance the current action that they have.
Right.
Okay? So it is chaotic compared to some of the others where it's finely honed, finely defined. Glory's one is an emotion grenade.
Yep. Yeah.
Finally, Corinne, you have they land on their feet. You can burn a finesse point as a reaction to half the falling damage on any one target. So Rattle chose a very, very useful one for you. I was kind of proud of Rattle because I gave him two, and I was like, well, I've given one that's really practical, and I've given one that's really flavorful, and I wouldn't be able to call which one he'd choose, and he chose this one. I'm kind of proud. So, you've got something that could potentially save someone's life. This is the Save Keyleth spell.
Yes, but that still wouldn't have saved her.
Yeah, to be fair, from the height, the 4 damage, she wouldn't have been saved, even with this. But he would have done something.
That's why you don't turn into a goldfish. Anyway.
How many d6s was it? Like...
literally 100 d6.
Fuck.
No, that the book actually has a cap on terminal velocity, so you can't get 100 d6. But it was Matt's ruling.
I agree with Matt's ruling. If it's 10 per damage, screw the cap. I'm rolling 100 d6 because I'm allowed to roll 100 d6. So those are the things
I
that
agree
you guys
with
can do.
Simon on that one.
Yeah. So, shall we start the game?
Well, might as well.
Might as well. Yeah, go on. Right.
I just was about to shoot banana. How's that happen?
Oh, fuck. I forgot about that.
So, let's start with a little bit of a recap. Last episode, Cora and Aiden went off for their version of the first night after they lost their memories. Sleep came to them. Or is it the second night? It might actually it might be the second night.
No, it's the first night.
No, it's the first
It is
night. We
still the
woke
first
up and
night.
we went to
Wow.
sleep, and this all
First
happened.
night.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Farewell's first nightmare dream came from the oraculum, not from actual sleeping. The second one was the first night. That's right. So, you head off, and Aiden has some sort of strange connection with Olivia. Olivia Storm being Renata Green's right-hand woman. And normally her face and voice within the city. Normally, if a message gets sent directly from Renata, It's because Olivia's turned up and told it to you. Very few people get to speak to Renata directly unless they're inside her organisation, in which case she's a little more hands-on, especially for her specialists, like you five. You manage to catch up with her, and you see that she is in her nightdress, being puppeted through the city to a location unknown. You tackle her, breaking her nose on a cobblestone. Well done, Aiden. And you use hold person on her, which was very good use of that. It was something that immediately nerfed the puppeteering.
Probably didn't help her nose much.
No. Yeah, in hindsight, the whole person would have been sufficient on its own, but it would have been less dramatic. You heard a voice that called upon a being to defeat you two for the master. He was interested in Aiden, saying to keep Aiden alive, but to kill Cora. And as he did so, a giant hound appeared. We are talking like Lockjaw from the Inhumans, if you've seen it. This gigantic bull of a dog appearing. Sleek black oiled coat, these dead red eyes, and this horrible smell of rotting flesh coming out of its mouth. After a few slashes, you realise that the skin over this creature was just that, only skin. And as you hacked it away, underneath is a skeleton held together by purple fire. This is a lich hound. You start to arrange yourself so that you can defeat it, and the hound itself, an intelligent being, steps away into the ethereal realm. And as it does so, a deathlock teleports onto a nearby rooftop, thinking that you must be harmed in some way to have gone so far into the fight with the hound, only to find out, no, you guys were ready, and you threw a bunch of spells at him, and before he was able to jump into the ethereal realm himself, he died. Falling off the roof, and you found some items. I think you have a scroll of Featherfall, and you have a pouch of dust of sneezing and choking. I think it was Cora that looted the body. The dog came back only to be blasted away by Aiden's first use of his finesse point, using it through his gun. His gun has an ability that was the original use of finesse points, and that was that if he uses a finesse point on the gun, he can blast out a cone of anti-undead energy. This finished off the dog, but also had the effect because it says on the looming discharge that it's radiant fire. So the damage is both types, radiant and fire. Cora has an ability using her burning band ring, which she also used to give herself fire dragon breath, that if anybody dies due to fire within 30 foot of her, she gets a finesse point, thereby unlocking one of the little combos that if Aiden can kill somebody near Cora using the flaming options on his gun, or if Glory does it with some of her sorcerer spells, Cora immediately gets a finesse point, which is why Kate has one now.
I also imagine Cora like downing like a Carolina Reaper pepper and then using that to breathe fire.
Yeah.
In my Wednesday game, we have a thing called a pepperberry, and it does just that. Only when you use it, it gives you one blast of fire breath and does you 1d6 fire damage.
Oh, that's fair.
Burnt lips, you know, that kind of thing. Then Renata turned up. She ran up and started putting her hand onto Olivia's chest, skin to skin, accessing the burn scar that, you know, the hand-shaped burn scar that Aiden has spotted on Olivia's sternum bone in the middle of her chest. And while she did that, some arcane magic rippled through her body, presumably putting up some form of ward or cleansing her of any marks or curses that are on her. It's at that point that Olivia points out that she is technically dead. She followed Renata and a bunch of adventurers into a quest where there was a powerful necromancer. The necromancer speared her through the heart and was trying to raise her when Renata teleported to Olivia's side, Olivia being a slip of a girl at the time, a wannabe adventurer, and she pressed her hand onto Olivia's chest. Realizing that, as a wizard, Renata is incapable of raising dead or healing, she instead did something that is more wizardly and more academic, and she turned Olivia's body into a type of flesh golem, except without any animus. And then she used the spell Soul Cage and caged Olivia's soul back into her body as it was leaving it. As a result, Olivia is now technically dead. However, the body does now live. It's working on a mechanical and functional level, and because of the way that she's able to possess it, she can still feel through it all, even if you found out that her strange pale skin, pale lips, is the fact that she's not living in a fully organic sense of the word, more in a kind of biomechanical sense of the word. Other than that, she seems to be fine, seems to live her life. And as Renata's walking up to Kate and identifying her dust of sneezing and choking, Aiden hears a voice taunting him, presumably the master. And as he does so, his right arm points up, points the gun directly at Renata's face, and he feels the finger beginning to pull the trigger. And that's where we're going to start this session. And it's going to start with something that was suggested at the end of last session, but I want it at the beginning of this one. I want you to do a charisma saving throw.
I hate you.
Oh, great.
Believe it or not, that's natural 20.
Oh my god.
Okay. Cora, you watch as Aiden is shaking. His entire arm is going into spasm as he's fighting this urge to pull the trigger and fire this strange blood fire at Renata. Renata turns round and sees him there, sweat just suddenly appearing and pouring down Aiden's brow. She steps forward and says, "That's not you, is it?"
No, I guess it's not.
Her hand comes down and grips you just around the bicep. And as she does so, although her hand doesn't fit around your bicep, it has to be said. She's quite
Oh no, I have
delicate
-1
person,
strength. It does fit.
Oh, actually, she might then. Yeah, actually, she might. And as she does so, Renata mutters something under her breath, and your arm goes limp, and you realise you have control of it again.
Oh, fuck me.
Indeed. You're going to need this, Aiden. And as she reaches up to her collar, fiddles with something inside her collar, and pulls out from underneath. Her collar's quite high, as in the picture here, although few people can see it. It's kind of up to the middle of her neck. She pulls out a very beautiful gold necklace and puts it around your neck. It will take a short while for it to come into effect. But once it does, nobody will be able to detect where you are. So you are currently wearing a necklace of non-detection, as per the non-detection spell.
And we're all having a wonderful sleep while this goes on.
Actually, the way time is
still in the
going at
church,
the moment, you're hacking away at flesh gaunts.
Oh right, okay. I thought we'd finished that bit by now.
Yep.
The angel flew over us last session.
Yeah.
Oh, actually,
Yes.
so,
When the
sorry,
big
yes, you
angel-
have finished. You have finished.
At the end,
Yeah.
but I don't think you've gone back to bed yet.
No, you're
probably still,
currently talking
in Freetown.
to Dusk. That's correct.
Ah.
I get up. I say thank you. Yes, I think this is gonna be very useful. Now, look at Olivia. I'm glad you're okay now. And stuff. If you excuse me, I am very tired. I really want to go to sleep.
I think rejuvenating sleep is probably what we all need. Olivia walks up to you, Aiden, and says, "You may want to hide that amulet." And she takes the amulet and stuffs it down down your top, so that people can't see it. Out loud,
Yeah,
she
that's...
says, "It's worth 210,000 drakes."
Drake's being the local currency, right?
Drake's
Before
been
I
in a gold
forget.
piece.
Yeah.
Sorry, slanged him.
Good.
I always forget.
Good to know. I'll make sure not to lose it. You know, don't want to waste that much money.
Yes, considering it's one of the few items that we can't scry for, it'd be kind of useless otherwise.
Right.
Quietly, as she's stuffing it into your collar, she kind of grips your shoulder, because she's got one hand on your shoulder, she's got the other one stuffing the amulet in, and as she does so, she kind of leans forward as if she's checking out that she can't see it, and she almost whispers, but no one's close enough to hear anyway. Thank you so much.
No need to thank me.
A look of embarrassment crosses her face, but without the blush. You have a feeling that blush is one of the functions that her body doesn't have. And she...
Yeah, you need blood to blush, so...
Oh, she has blood, it's just that it doesn't work the same way. And she steps back, and you can see she's looking vulnerable for a second, and the vulnerability melts away from her face as it becomes this hard, military, etiquette-driven face that you know so well with Olivia. And even though she's wearing just, as I say, a nightdress and now Renata's cloak that Renata put around her shoulders, she puts on the etiquette smile, this kind of half smile that's made for greeting guests and dignitaries. She says, "Shall we to bed?" And walks in the opposite direction.
Opposite to what?
Yeah.
Opposite to Aiden. So she walks directly away from Aiden.
Right.
Sure.
Renata says, "Would you two like a lift?"
If you don't mind.
Cora, if you
sure.
come over here, take my hands. You take her hands, and suddenly there's this pop, and you are in the corridor outside your rooms.
I always forget how small Cora is.
She goes, "I better go take Olivia back. She's
Good idea.
twitchy, and I don't want her snapping anyone's neck." And she pops out of existence.
I look at Cora and I say, "Thank you for the help."
You're welcome.
I genuinely wanna fucking pass out now, so I guess we'll talk more about this tomorrow. Or never. I'd rather never. Good night.
Night. Do I notice everybody's door open?
By this point,
Are we back?
ooh, let's see.
Yeah, have they got back before we did?
Yes.
We were
Probably
talking
if we
about
teleported
Yeah.
that quickly.
Joel.
They
And
in the episode,
Renata teleported them. So theoretically,
in the-
we should still be talking.
No, I remember from the episode that their doors were open when we got back.
Yep, I'm having to sew together continuity here. So, yes, they are in bed. It was a long conversation.
Okay, so I don't. So there's no evidence to the fact that any of them had left because I went out the window and I didn't
As
see.
far as you know,
Okay,
yeah,
everyone's asleep and
they've
fine.
been asleep the entire time.
Okay, good to know. I
Crime.
creep back into my room and pass out.
Okay.
What time is it? I might even just pass out in my clothes. Well,
It's-
actually, I'm wearing. I just throw off that armor top that I put on.
Yeah, you're
collapse
wearing your
back in
PJs
the bed in my
and
PJs.
some leather armor. So yeah, you just kind of undo the buckles, throw the armor, and you're in PJs.
I'm conking out like right away. I'm not bothering changing anything.
Sure. The patented Iden flop on the bed and asleep before his head hits the pillow. That goes off. So you're going to sleep in your clothes. Talking to my pastor. Kate, as you're getting the armor off, Awen does fly down to one of the buckles, unbuckling it to be helpful, and she says, I thought I was the start of your life getting weird.
Yeah, I thought it couldn't get much weirder, but I was totally wrong. It's just getting more and more strange and confusing. But
She flies down to the to one of the sideboards, and there's a couple little motes of dust that she's just kicking like a delinquent kicking a can down a street. But very kind of slowly and apathetically, just scuffing her feet in the dust, making little patterns. And she goes, I'm from the Feywild, and they say that this place is so grey, so boring. They say it's safe and people have weak minds, but it's none of those things. Okay, it is a bit grey. The colours here could do with a little bit of improving, brightening. And you don't have any plants that eat whole people here, which is kind of interesting. Presumably they were farmed away or something like that. Farms are interesting. We don't have farms where I come from. But yeah, you have, I don't know. It seems like all the colour are in the people.
yeah, that makes sense.
The colour in the Feywild is not from the people. How do I put it? The true Fey are... They are themselves. Oh dear, how do I put it? So, who they are is a definition. They can't be anything other than that definition, in the same way that I can't. I am just who I am. I have, yes, thoughts and feelings and things, but I am me, and I can only be me because that's my place in the Feywild. I'm explaining this not very well. And all the colour, all the joy, all the emotion is outside. That's what the colours are. That's what the brightness is. That's how we're able to walk 4 or 5 days worth of travel in 10 minutes because we really want to be there. That becomes our function. That becomes our path. We are shaped by the Feywild, but also if it's who we are and what we're supposed to be doing, we bend the Feywild around us. So all the colours and all the lights are things that cling to us, and we seek it. We need it. I said feelings before, that we have our thoughts and feelings. We have feelings, but not really emotions. We like to feel those emotions from others, provoke them. And it's hard to generate them from inside, but you do that from inside. I saw the way that Iden was, and weirdly I thought he was a boring little man when I first saw him. But he's actually very colourful. The colours are dark and deep and rich and kind of dramatic. It's kind of hot. But it's one of those things that I don't see any of that in the Feywild. The people that I've met there have been larger than life. They've been very... what I've heard said in the tavern below, extra. But it's all external. It's all like wearing a pair of clothes. Each Fae each true Fae certainly, needs to keep topping that up. They need to keep working at being colourful and to what they believe real. Here you don't need to do that. You can be dark and brooding, and that can be just something that you do but not who you are. It's like there's something inside of you that you don't need to work to be. I'm not explaining it very well. In Sylvan, this would all make sense.
Sorry, I don't know enough.
I'm trying to figure out who you are, Cora. She lands on your hand.
You know yet?
Not really. I thought I did. But then recent things that I cannot talk about have made me see you in a different light. I thought, to start with, that you were a bit of a victim. I thought I was here to protect you. But I'm seeing it more now that I'm here to maybe guide you, and in some cases to temper you. She stands on your finger like a little robin just stood on your fingertip.
La 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 la.
And she sits down as if your finger's a log, which shows how small she is. And she kicks the ring that's on your finger, the burning band. She goes, "That's Fey magic. You do realise that."
I suspected.
You wear that, and it wears you, in the same way that I was describing the Feywild. It will become part of you the more you use it, the more you accept it. Now that could be a good thing or a bad thing. Resisting it is bad. Wholly accepting it is bad. The only way that you're going to really wield it, and wield it without harm to yourself, is if you understand it. Understand why it has to be. Understand why it works for you. That ring will not just work for anybody. There's something that has to be deep inside. There has to be something that you have defined yourself to be able to have that. You know I can't tell you certain things, but you left yourself enough clues. Even that, there's a small twinge of pain as I say it. You left yourself clues, Cora.
Okay.
How are you sleeping?
I'm sure I'll remember. What?
How are you sleeping these days?
Well, I have no idea, because I have yet to sleep after 3 weeks of not knowing where I have been and what I've been doing, so I could tell you when I finally wake up.
That's probably for the best. Go sleep, and let's see how it feels in the morning.
Question.
Uh-huh.
I have the ability to send you back and bring you back as well. I don't. Do you want to go back?
Back to the Feywild.
Yes.
Where do you think I go when you dismiss me?
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about my kind?
I know you, but no.
Sprites are related to Kurs and fairies. Fairies are predominantly plant-based, earth-based. They are born in the Feywild, and normally they are born when a flower blossoms. Or not any flower. It's a thing. They have a certain aesthetic. And they, as I say, are a little bit like me. Then you have Kurs. Kurs are more divine. They don't come from the Feywild. They are kind of beings of light, beings of joy, kind of almost little joy elementals. And they protect innocence. Then there's sprites. We're more kind of water and air based. Fey elementals, I guess you would call us. We work closely with the dreaming. We are capable, when we get stronger, to enact certain illusions, and we're able to guide people into sleep, and once they're asleep, guide them into the Feywild. There's a lot we can do eventually. Some of us become more elemental and are capable of creating special pools of water that we can use to lure people into traps, or we can use them to give people visions. So people would visit the sprites in order to look into our pools. When I go back to the Feywild, I go back to my pool, the pool in which I was born, and there are others like me. Not so much family. We don't have family. We are neither born or have any form of she kind of looks a little abashed and says relationships. We don't have those. Really, most Fae don't. And you can see that there's insight check. Do an insight check.
Natural 20.
Shut up.
Natural 20s all around.
Two natural 20s today. Okay.
Are you gonna continue the same as last time? Really?
No.
Leave some for us.
No.
I'm trying.
So when you look at her, when she talks about Fae, and she says, I don't have relationships, most Fae don't. Well, some do. There's a significant change to her face when she says some do. And also her voice becomes very forceful. Okay.
Yep.
A regular success would have just got the face. You've got the voice as well. The second that she says some, she puts a lot of emphasis into the word. But, yeah, so I go back home and I just get to do what we do. I get to commune with the pool and the little part of the Feywild that is our part of that reality. It belongs to us. It is us. Literally, I'm made of the same stuff. So don't worry. If you send me back at any point, that's where I am. So I get to visit often. I don't need to go home. As it were.
Okay.
This is who I am.
Good.
Okay? Good.
Yes.
Right. Get your butt to sleep. Some of us don't need to sleep. You certainly do.
I definitely do.
Would you like some help?
What? Help with what? Sleep?
She flies up right in front of your nose and says, would you like some help? I love the fact you're crossing your eyes right now.
Okay.
She goes, don't resist. And she boops you on the nose with her finger, and you feel a sleep spell go through you. And you
Tinkerbell.
back on the bed.
Just got
I feel it would have been better if she would have gone, do you want some help? And it would be like, and then she brings out a baseball bat and just goes.
Or just
I also
as
love
a
the
sprite
complete-
nuts her between the eyes, and it turns out that she may be small, but she has the same density as a human.
Yeah. I love the difference between familiars, though. We get the lovely pixie that just wants to explain where she's from and help her, the person that she's bonded to, grow as an individual. And then we have the evil smoke dragon that talks about burning and killing everybody.
Oh yeah.
Create flesh golems and take over the world.
Yes, both familiars have had a speech recently. Two very different ones. So,
It's
you
just
guys have a
total-
long rest. So, take your long rest.
Thank God.
And as you do so,
I heal.
Finesse Point Cora disappears, as does Finesse Point Glory. You wake up the next morning, and there's this beautiful smell of breakfast wafting up the stairs throughout the entire tavern.
Quick question, Simon.
Mm-hmm.
Is it already the date on the letter? I forgot, but
I think we've got another day.
That's tomorrow.
all right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so one more long rest, and that day, he will be turning up. Hector.
All right. Cool.
Right. Wakey, wakey, rise and shine, or not, as the case may be. I'm going to assume that being that you guys ended up going back to bed about 3-4 o'clock, you're going to have a little bit of a lay-in. Thankfully, you don't have any specific work hours. And, as I say, there's a beautiful smell of breakfast wafting up the stairs.
Wafting.
Eclipse will just kind of, like, still, like, half asleep, kind of get up and be like, Eclipse, I smell food. Should I cook? Puts on her, like, normal clothes and, like, stumbles downstairs and, like, to knock him, like, food.
In search for milk.
Yes. Milky. Milk, please. And fish.
I think that's the most cat-like you've ever sounded. It was like, milk,
Yeah.
and fish.
There's some definite negative stereotypes you're reinforcing there.
Well,
She could have done the whole Red Dwarf thing of fish.
Fish!
What do you want? Fish!
The fish of the day is trout a la creme. Enjoy your meal. So, Noki says, of course, did you sleep well, Miss Eclipse?
Except for weird teleportations at night, yes.
He looks at you, not entirely sure if you're joking, and goes, right, okay. Enjoy your fish. And he gives you fish as you like it. I'm sure this is not the first time you've ordered fish from Noki. You've got chilled milk as well. At that point, who else is coming down?
Glory will more than likely have woken up from, like, Eclipse's stumbling.
Welcome, mistress. Did you sleep well after the slaughter?
Exceptionally well.
We need to talk. I was rudely interrupted the other day. We need to start thinking about excellence.
Yes.
After breakfast.
At your pleasure, mistress. At your pleasure.
Of course. He will get what's coming. I have a few ideas that need investigating.
Feel free to send me abroad when you need me to get reagents.
Of course, love. Of course.
And in a very slimy, sultry way, he just coils around your neck and kind of, there's a ripple, almost like he's purring, but there's no sound. Just, you seem to have this weird shadow scarf with this draconic face on it. You notice that he does this before you've got changed, and you kind of get changed around him. You realise that as you put things over your head, they pass through him. He is actual shadow. He has no body. He is featureless in that regard. And
Right.
he seems to. It's a very, how do I put it? He's very sycophantic. He's very groveling and flattering as well. And the way that he does it is that he's trying to be this really this sumptuous and sultry accessory, dark. I mean, like not even like Addams Family dark. We're talking like kind of long stereotypical dress vampiress kind of style that he seems to be trying to rock on you. And you're kind of like, I don't need it, love, but thanks for the effort. He seems to be doing this whole thing of, venerating you and putting you on a pedestal. You're probably not buying it, but
Nah.
that's what he's doing regardless.
It is nice.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to need to disappear for just 1 second before I go into complete total darkness as bulbs are popping. So
Absolutely.
I will just pretend that, well, I was going to say anyway, but Farewell is unnaturally sleeping in, unlike how he usually is.
Okay,
So I'll be right back.
So, Glory gets up. You go downstairs. Eclipse is currently with her, fish and milk course of the day. Noki
I get most of omega-3.
Noki is currently. Well, you also need some mouse brains to get the taurine, but that's kind of mixed into the milk.
Yes. Well.
Never drink Eclipse's milk.
No.
As you get to the bar, Glory, Noki is talking to a quite an interesting dwarf. This dwarf has dark, almost black skin. This giant bushy beard. His hair is quite long. It goes down to his belt. And it's clasped together by 3 heavy copper clasps. And you know that most of the dwarves in the city favour metal. It's a status thing. It's considered to be undwarvish to not have some sort of metal and heavy hide kind of clothing. He isn't wearing any metal clothing at all. He's wearing very, very heavy furs and leathers. The furs, by the look of it, he's arranged just along the shoulders, more as a decoration rather than
Actual armor.
Rather than keeping the heat in. You have a feeling that in the current weather, if he was to completely deck himself out in furs, even though it's kind of September in the world at the moment, you have a feeling he'd be sweltering. It's not quite ready to have substantial furs at the moment. I mean, especially you've been going out in dresses. And you have a feeling that all of this is part of this dwarven swagger. And in place of metal, he has bone. And he has what seems to be a skull of some long-faced lizard down one side of his belt. And you can tell by the fact that it's got kind of leather and cloth on the inside that that's some sort of pouch, but it's a pouch that's inside a lizard skull. Also, you notice that one of the furs on one of his shoulders has got this skull that the fur is looped through the eye holes and then back through the nose holes, and it's this kind of this coagulation of fur and bone. He's also wearing what oddly looks like, you kind of look at it and the first thing you think of is corset, but this is actually splint mail made out of bone. Not the best type of armor, far from it. Splint mail is a stupid armor. And
I'm even surprised to put it on an NPC.
Well, yeah, I've got to put it in sometime. I hate split mail, but I've got to put it on some. The only metal that you do see on this guy is that he has a back saber. So a back saber is a sword. It's like a long sword, but instead of curving backwards at the end, it curves forward into a hook. Yeah. It's fiercely sharp, but the metal, rather than being this this complete length of steel, is
Yeah.
a yellowed, almost rock-like substance with veins and pits and things like that. You don't have any proficiency in smithing tools, so you have no idea what it is. But it doesn't look like any. It looks like metal. You can just about identify it as metal, but it's yellow, like a sulfurous yellow, with kind of black veins and pits in it. And he's currently pulling out these pouches of herbs and trying to sell them to Noki. And he says, "This comes from the jungles of Garandal, my friend. You need to have these. These you will find nowhere else. The types of flavors that you will get, the specials that you will cook, are like nothing else in Vardencourt. This much I guarantee you."
Good morning, Nucky.
Good morning, Miss Glory. I am just speaking to this supplier. He's fresh off the boat and has an interesting proposal. At which point the guy turns around and goes, "Tarva, Tarva Eds, how can I refer to you? Are you the owner here?"
Well, not quite, but I do live here.
Very well. If you're part of the
Hi, Glory.
management,
Good morning, darling.
is that your cat?
No. Eclipse is
I
a
was
part
joking.
of the...
We have Tabaxi and Garandal. It's okay. So Garandal,
Right.
you know, Glory is a vast wilderness, and it has a very heavy connection with the plane of existence known as the Primal Wild. As a result, it's the only continent in the whole of Valeria that has dinosaurs on it.
Yes.
Dinosaurs
Okay.
do not exist anywhere else in Aleria, but they do there, and it's suspected that the re-emergence of dinosaurs in Garandal is that they literally walked out of the Primal Wild. They are what they call bloodgates, which are literal rifts in the ground, and you can attack them and rip them open with brute force. And normally there will be a kind of tunnel with roots and vines and things like that blocking your way that you have to hack your way through. And when you hack your way through, you end up coming out literally in another plane of existence.
Oh, yes, I've heard of that place. One of my cousins visited. He said it was quite the experience.
He was probably a little, lost. Most people in Garandal are either in a city or lost. It's one of the charms of my home country. Everything
very
is
interesting.
unkempt jungle. Once you're out there, it is just you and the purity of the earth. Melora be blessed. And
I assume you guys get like, a lot of druids then that come to Garandal?
we don't really have a word for druid out there. We actually learned the word druid from your common tongue, and we just know them as free folk.
I
I would
return,
say-
by the way.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll take your graphic down.
I would assume that because you guys have such an exotic wildlife that druids from all over Ilaria would come to explore some of the wildlife there and learn from it.
Indeed, a form of pilgrimage comes to our lands. But even then, the druids from these softer lands find that they have quite the learning curve to survive where we are. The beasts are substantial. But we learn to keep our wits sharp and our blades sharper. But yes, I'm here, amongst other things, to trade some of our fine herbs, all dried immediately in the sun after being picked, so they are as fresh as can be, no rotting. You can smell them, yes. And he pulls out a random pouch and shoves it under Glory's nose. And as he does so, he squeezes. I'd like you to make a Constitution saving throw, Glory.
Oh boy, that is, well, not my worst. A saving throw, you say?
Yep.
Well, that's pretty shitty. Is a 13 enough?
13 is enough. You get a sensation suddenly of it's like someone's giving you a chili pepper nose spray that you've just sprayed pepper spray up your nose, and your sinus is clear. You can feel your eyeballs in your head as if they've just been put in there for the first time, and it's a bit weird. Oddly, it doesn't burn. The intensity is like a chili pepper intensity, but it doesn't burn. You feel awake, though. You feel so awake. This is like better than coffee, better than tea. This is caffeine plus, and you're just. And I'm not inspired by the monster I'm drinking. But
Hashtag not sponsored.
Please
this
sponsor us.
is
Yes.
an absolute wake up call. You're feeling
Ooh.
pretty stoked. Take 10 temporary hit points.
Oh, thank
Oh,
you.
Great, she's going to become hooked on ghost peppers.
He says, I can see it's had a good effect on you. Not everybody can take it, but those who can.
I don't know. This smell sort of reminds me of some of my mother's old cooking.
Well, she must have been a fine cook to replicate what we get from our spices. Our spices carry with them the vitality of life itself.
Fascinating.
He gives it to Noki and again gives him a bit of a squeeze. I better roll for Noki actually.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he got good. He got a 14. He goes, is this enchanted in some way? And the guy goes, no, not at all. This is purely from the plant. Noki goes, give me your card and one bag. I will have an experiment and see what I can do. And money exchanges hands as Noki buys.
Eclipse also wants to try the thing. I don't know if you heard me.
Okay, do a Constitution saving throw as he squeezes it in your face.
If it's around midday, I'm stumbling down the stairs.
Sure.
Ooh. Ooh. Ooh.
There's a lot of umming and ahhing over that roll. You've got to tell us what the answer is.
No cheating, no cheating.
11. So you get this smell, and seeing the really kind of juiced look that's on Noki and Glory's face, you're really kind of like, yeah, I want to have a go at this. You sniff up a little too much as he squeezes it, and you're not ready for the hit that it gives. You've got a headache. You have disadvantage on all wisdom-based checks until further notice.
Ouch.
Well, we all know what they say about curiosity and the cat.
Yeah.
Your eyes are streaming, your nose is running, your mouth is just producing saliva, so you're just, you know when you stroke a cat and the cat starts drooling down the sides of its mouth?
Yeah.
That is Eclipse right now.
Yeah, I'd like chug my milk and ask Noki for more.
Sure, he just gives you what you want. So, Cora, you come down to a slightly hyper Glory and Noki, and Eclipse is basically crying, drooling, and snot is coming out of her nose. And she's drinking milk.
Okay. Is this something weird on the menu for breakfast this morning, or what?
No.
Do not smell the herbs. Don't smell the
Noki
herbs.
is writing, do not give
Not
to
the
cats on the pouch, and goes, no, they were just doing an experiment, it's fine. What can I get you for this morning, Miss Cora?
Bacon, and an egg or something. I don't know. Just something. I had a
You said bacon 4 times. 4
Crazy
bacons,
night.
1 egg, or
I don't. You the usual.
okay,
You know.
the usual. Okay,
Let's
that's a
yeah.
very roundabout way to ask for the usual. You normally just
Yeah,
say the usual.
I
Okay.
By the way, Noki, you know more about the security of this place than we do. Is there any wards against, portals or such?
Portals? Why would I have wards
Fucking
against
loaded
portals?
question.
This is a tavern. It's an open space.
Ah,
I have an alarm spell at your door just in case anybody goes past that's not you. But I gave up on that after you kept bringing strange women to your bedroom.
fair. Fair. No. I
See,
was
when
just
you walk
wondering
in with
because
said woman, it's okay, it doesn't go off. But when they sneak out first thing in the morning, I'm asleep. Suddenly, I get this alarm in my head. Every morning, I know you've got laid the night before because I wake up at 5 in the morning because some girls just walked out of your bedroom.
Go the fuck off, Noki.
There is a huge amount of shade being thrown round about that one. This poor man has not slept in days.
I go
I'm
over
not judging,
to
but every time
Noki
you get
and
some,
I give
I
him a
get
hug.
less. Yes?
I give him a hug round probably just a leg.
he kind of comes down to your level and gives you a hug and goes, "It's okay, I don't lose that much sleep. I've got accustomed to going back, you know."
no,
Anyway.
I was just wondering, considering we had
Why?
this.
I was wondering why you were asking, but you might have
we
been
had
about
this
to say.
Yeah, we had this wonderful adventure yesterday. A portal opened up in Farewell's bed.
What?
And like,
What?
What do you mean it appeared in his bed?
yeah, it did.
A portal is a rift in space. I don't need to be going to the university and learning
hold
about
on,
all this arcane bollocks.
where
Why
is
is there a portal
Farewell
in his
now?
bed?
Oh, he's up there sleeping.
I run upstairs.
Where did
I
it
run
go?
upstairs.
What we got explained, it's very complicated and has something to do with the Raven Queen.
Yes.
The
Bang
Raven
it
Queen
on
is
the
a portal
door.
to death?
No.
I do
I
not
am
want death
very
portals
confused.
appearing in my rooms. You realize that, yes, it is your home, but it's my business. I get sued if a portal opens up in a guest bed and someone falls into the Raven Queen's domain, yeah?
Oh no, we didn't
no,
end
there
up
was
in her
no portal.
rebellion. We ended up in a temple. It was fine. Oh well, the building next to the temple where the paladin slept.
Okay,
Because
so
there was a monster attacking his uncle.
a portal across town. Okay, that's less weird, less suable.
I'm starting to get this
Honestly,
feeling.
Iwin's going through the door. Actually, I'm going through the door. Boop, with my cloak.
Which door are you going through?
Farewell's door.
Farewell's.
Okay, fine.
I heard a portal opened in his bed, and I'm like.
So you just run into Farewell's bedroom through
Yeah,
the door.
I've been banging on the door and nothing happened, and then I suddenly remembered I have a freaking cloak that does this.
Okay, so I'm going to rule, Nick, that you hear bang, 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 and then just as you're like, what? You just watch Cora phase through the door.
yeah. And you'll find that he's not actually asleep in the bed because the bed's been destroyed by that great big fuck off rift. And he's actually like made a little sort of like sleeping arrangement.
Oh, little nest.
He's face down, lying on the floor, and as you banged and you shoot in, all you can see is the back of his head go. Huh?
What the hell happened, and when did this happen?
What? What?
Are you okay?
Yes.
What happened to your bed? Glory just said a rift opened and you fought something, and I didn't really listen to the rest because I just wanted to know if you were okay.
I can't take either of them anywhere. Just I asked both of them. Don't tell Cora. Cora worries. No one tells her.
By the way, as you were talking
I'm
about
gonna
rifts
kick
and
him in the
stuff,
butt.
Tava was really interested. He was there like, whoa, this place is interesting.
Okay. I'm sorry. turns out that I might have been having nightmares, and the nightmares may be horrific souls trapped of people that I know trying to warn me of things. And one of the things they were trying to warn me about was my uncle, and it turns out he was getting attacked by a giant flesh golem whilst I was having a nightmare, which then, of course, caused that strange knife that I now have to appear in my hand, and then a big old rift appeared, and this flesh golem that turned into more tiny little flesh golems. But it was fine. It was fine. It was fine because I got Eclipse and I got Glory, and they killed it. And then we sort of checked on Simon, and then Dusk summoned this great big angel. Did you see the angel? Oh no, you would have been here asleep because you wouldn't have seen the angel. But so yeah, she's come to
Oh no, I saw an angel.
Wait, what do you mean
from
you saw
you?
an angel? Well,
Huh?
not from me technically. It's from Dusk. Dusk summoned the angel. Yeah, and it turns out that someone might be trying to kill me and or my uncle.
You're not the only one trying to get killed right now, or not trying to, but okay, so you had an eventful night. So did me and Aiden.
What did he do? I mean, I figure I'm going to figure out what you did, but the logical question is, what did he do?
Well, I mean, I followed him. He was. Do you want to get breakfast? Do you want to?
Yeah. I'm gonna need you to turn around.
Bacon and.
I'm gonna need you to turn around, as I need to get changed.
Fine. I'll see. Come downstairs.
Yeah. Hold.
And no making riffs and fighting shit. And if you do, tell me.
You ran out. I know you weren't there. Oh yeah, I did know she was.
Did you know? I don't think you did know. You just didn't.
Well, no, your door was open.
No,
your
it
door was closed. Aiden's was open. Ignore that comment then. So yeah, I'll get changed and I'll
get
go
changed.
downstairs.
Come downstairs. I think we all clearly need to talk about what the hell happened last night.
So I will get properly dressed, and I will go downstairs and see everybody.
Okay. And the last that's left is Aiden. You can hear, various people getting up. I'm sure there's a few false starts where you're like, And eventually it does come to your senses that there is breakfast and the promise of the fact that the breakfast is made in a bar with alcohol.
And the fact that I'm probably going to be banging on his door.
Yep.
Yeah.
I am not getting off my bed for any.
Yeah, you do
Nick...
know.
Oh no.
Well, Tom?
I was just gonna say that you seemed to be talking and nothing was coming out for a chunk of that, but.
Oh, it's probably my connection's bottoming out. I've blown through like 4 bulbs in like the space of like half an hour. So, I think I'm just cursed with electricity at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. That doesn't sound right.
There's something very weird going on at the moment.
Maybe
Is
your mom
Aiden's
then.
door locked?
What?
Is Aiden's door locked?
I was gonna say yes.
Yeah, sure. I would say after he has had somebody attack him and somebody try to possess his right arm, I'm gonna go with yes. He's he even before collapsing, he had enough forethought to go, hang on, death, and just lock the door.
Okay, in that case, then I'm going to use thermatorchy to make it sound like there's a thunderstorm going on in his bedroom.
Oh god.
And I will stand outside his door. And
What
I'll
about
be
the
like,
rest of us?
I'll be like, well, no, because it's located purely inside of his room.
Yeah.
And,
can't hear it
and
through
I'll
the
be
wall,
like,
but
this won't.
It's. I mean, bear in mind, you guys are like three floors below this, because you're in like the penthouse suites of this four floor tavern, this giant 4-floor tavern, and then at the very bottom is the bar itself. So yeah, you're not going to hear much of this other than, oh, is that a distant storm? People who have got the rooms beneath Iden are probably going to complain, but we'll cross that when we get to it. So yeah, Iden, you kind of hear people shuffling about, and there's a lot of false starts, and then there's this sudden cow as this thunder goes off in your bedroom, and then there's this kind of ominous rolling sound that promises a further bout of thunder.
Yeah, followed by like Farewell's voice going, "It would be nice if you could get up now. I know you're hiding in there, but everybody's going to want to talk, and it's only going to get worse because if I don't do it, can imagine what happens when I send Eclipse up."
I'm literally just gonna
Weaponizing your tabaxi, I like it.
I'm literally just gonna put my head under the pillow and just stay in my bed.
Another another round of thunder makes its way through the pillow.
No, really, I'm not joking.
I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna tell to Simon, I'm not fucking leaving that bed.
Sure. Okay.
Fine.
Are you sending
He gets a third one, and then I go downstairs, and I go, Eclipse, I think you need to go wake up Iden. As I tried to do it, that's not a storm, by the way, and he won't get up. So, as considering that I promised that I would answer any questions you lot had, and we need to find out what happened with you guys last night, it's probably best if you go get it.
I will do that. I will do that. I say nose running, drooling, and eyes running.
This snotty, crying, drooling cat.
Oh, hold on. I go over to her, and I'm just like, "You got a cold? Are you alright?"
No.
I lift a paw up, and I just put my back of my hand to like the pads on her, and I'm just, because you can't put it on the forehead, it's all fur.
Yeah.
You know, I put it on the pads, and I'm like, does she feel warm? What do I think?
No, just don't smell the herbs. Don't smell the herbs. They
It's fine.
Nice.
Just not for cats.
Whilst I agree with herbal use for medical and recreational purposes in moderation, I would suggest perhaps maybe you've had too much.
Too much herb.
I literally just smelled it once.
Do I know what's going on with her?
She seems to have. It looks like the worst bout of hay fever you've ever seen. It's like someone with really bad hay fever has been dragged through a rapeseed field.
If it doesn't improve, we'll try magic. I just suggest for a while you ride it out. It'll suck, but try riding it out.
I'm gonna go wake I'm sure.
Oh, I think he's awake. He's just being an asshole.
I'll drag him out of it.
By the way, are those furs from animals in the wilds? Ingloria has started talking to the guy.
Tava says, "Well, we don't have farms. We don't believe in it. Everything is hunted. Everything has a chance to win, to escape, or to kill us ourselves."
Fascinating. I quite like that one. What type is that?
That is a displacer skunk.
Huh.
Place to stunk.
Indeed.
Why are we just attracting more like creepy and ominous things now? Is that what we're doing?
No, I'm just here for the show. I didn't even know there was one. I came to sell some reagents and some ingredients to your man here, Noki. I presume that you're part of the owners, like Glory here.
Yes, he is.
Ah, good, good. Yes, I was just here to make a little bit of money on my way. I'm not here for this, but knowing that you fine people do not have the access to the wonderful things that we do, I make a little bit of money by giving you a taste of my home country. I'll be doing the same on the way back, taking whatever it is you find special about this place. There doesn't seem to be much in the way of national pride here. More pride in the empire than the nation. Isn't that strange?
It is. It is as it is. I'm not from the area myself.
And where are you from, my special?
I'm from Skaldra.
Ah, from the place of dragons. Oh, the stories you must tell. I'm staying here for the next 2 days. At some point, seek me out. We shall have a drink. We shall share tales of great beasts together. You might even be able to convince me to part with this. And he takes the tail of the displacer skunk that's kind of flopping by his leg, and he kind of wafts it backwards and forwards in a playful manner. You're not quite sure what kind of bead you're getting from him. You can't tell if he's flirting or just charming you out of a business side of things. But this is a guy, he's quite fun-loving.
Yeah.
He is also just a momentary NPC, so please don't spend too much time on him.
No.
We become emotionally attached.
No.
How does my exploits of getting Aiden up go?
It depends on what are you doing,
It
Eclipse?
depends on if you manage to pick his lock or not.
Yeah, first of all, I need to pick. I'll knock first before I just start like picking the lock.
See, I know him better. You know he's not going to open the door.
Okay,
No, but
so
I need to pick
I'm going to
mine.
split screen this because as Eclipse pulls out her thieves' tools and sets to work on
Well,
Aiden...
I'll
Go.
knock first.
Okay, knock first.
Aiden? Aiden? No response, okay. Thieves' tools.
Okay. You pull out your first pick, and as you slip the pick into the lock, downstairs, where Cora, Farewell, and Gloria are, Noki stops in the middle of polishing a glass and goes, Eclipse, and then carries on polishing the glass. Give me a Thieves' Tools check.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Thanks
I'm
for
not sorry, but-
dropping by, Roan. It's nice to see you here again.
Ooh, that's good. So, 18 plus 7 is 25.
Yeah. This is a
you
difficult
open
lock
that
to pick, and yet you still manage to nail it. This is the best lock that money can buy, and you're just like, oh yeah, this is a good challenge. Click, and you unlock the door.
I'm guessing Aiden hears that.
I'm going to give Rodrigo the opportunity, if you've managed to go back to sleep, although saying that she just banged the door, if you're just awake but ignoring her, then you absolutely hear her pick the lock.
Yeah, I hear her pick the lock, and it's like, of course she does. I'm not leaving that back.
I'd like you to make a perception check, Aiden. DC 20.
Holy shit.
Maybe to see how terrible I
Oh wait,
look. I don't know.
did he ever hide the woman's clothes, or will Eclipse find them now?
They were always in his cupboard.
Okay.
So unless I start digging through now.
22.
22. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, you've met the
On the
DC.
nose.
You can feel as Eclipse is gaining unlawful entry to your personal abode. You can, even though you know she's not an enemy, you are a little bit angry about the fact she's doing this. And as you do so, your fingers on your right hand start to itch. And
Oh no.
almost feel like that if you let something happen, something will happen. I'm just going to ask you, power of random, will you let the something happen?
No.
You resist it and the itching goes away.
I put my head in. I didn't. We're all. It's,
You can see
we're all
Aiden's
waiting for-
body and his head is under a pillow.
I walk. I pad up to him and just kind of carefully just kind of goes cloak on the side of like his chin or something.
Presumably, you're going to lift the pillow as you do so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll poke him without like lifting the pillow because I don't want to be too rude.
Okay.
Like,
You're just
Not
going
too
into
Too
his
rude to
room.
just, force entry and yeah. Okay. Sure. You go up and you poke Aiden.
Yeah.
Presumably,
I didn't.
no response, Rodrigo.
What do you want?
We're all waiting for you downstairs. We kind of need to compare notes to what happened yesterday as we went through a portal with Fairwell's knife that took us to the other side of town, and you guys seem to have had an adventure as well.
Cora can just tell you that. I'll just stay here.
Incidentally,
It's
Aiden,
also-
if you've opened your eyes at all, normally Eclipse looks like this beautiful, sleek black cat. Just this beautiful little kitty made humanoid. If you look at her, all of the fur is matted up with snot and drool and tears. She looks awful.
Like she looks like a cat with a cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the tears
Also-
are drying in the fur.
Yeah, and Farrell was gonna tell us more about his what happened in his past because it's important because things are trying to attack us because of his past currently. So it's good if we know what that's about.
Yes, another one of us has assassins after.
Oh, I should be fine. And again, Cora can tell you what happened last night.
No, you need to get up. This time I would just grab him and like try to pull him off the bed.
It's like, she's taking her time.
Yeah, but you got to remember that there's a certain finesse to what she does. I mean, there is a subtlety, and as a bounty hunter, she's used to getting hold of individuals and taking them to places they don't want to be. She's a professional. We've got to trust it. Sometimes these things take a little bit longer, and it is Aiden, and he's.
At this point, I really want.
Impossible.
Yeah, at this point, I really want it to cut to Eclipse getting Aiden in a headlock, but
And it's Aiden holding on to one end. It's Aiden holding on to the end of the bed, and the Eclipse holding on to both of his legs, and
Yeah,
he's just pulling like he's a toddler, and he just doesn't want to leave, and he's just desperately clinging onto
Oh
that
my
bed.
god, can someone draw this?
I imagine like that we've all got these elaborate 4-poster beds, so I'm like he's clinging on to one of the things. Going,
I'll let Nicole know. They'll probably love drawing this.
It's like, no, I'm not leaving. I'm not going. And Eclipse is like, I have never lost a mark. I've always followed through on my contracts. You're coming with me, dead or alive.
Also, you need breakfast, Aiden. Let's come down. It's almost noon.
Do I need to make a roll?
He's gonna resist.
I guess
Stress check.
I guess it's like a contested grapple check. I've not seen anywhere where pulling someone out of the bed by their feet is covered in the DMG, so I'll go with the grapple check. So a choice of Eclipse has to use strength, but Aiden can use strength or dex. Depends on whether he
Depends on
uses
if he's
brute
trying.
strength or wriggles.
Just a plain dex check?
I think it's a acrobatics check if you are
Okay.
trained. If not, it's just a straight dex check.
21.
Okay, what have you got, Eclipse? Although Corinne has frozen, so
Oh no.
Not
Oh,
on
we-
Discord, so.
Do we want to
No,
use
she's
this?
frozen on Discord.
Oh, I thought
She
I
has
saw her
frozen.
blinking. I'm confused.
Do we want to
Well-
use this as an opportunity to take a quick break?
I think that's probably for the best, and it's the right opportunity as well because we have the. I've just literally finished preparing the vote screen. So, who do you think would be most deserving of a finesse
Not
point?
Aiden.
Yeah, we've just spent 20 minutes trying to get you to come and play with
And
the rest of us.
he'll just use his finesse to make her not bothered. And then,
Yes. Yes,
Yes,
that is something you can use
Don't
it
vote for Aiden is the consensus here.
for. Okay, I've
Who
sent
has
the...
something that makes him
I'm-
get out of
I'm
bed?
back.
Oh,
Is
and
there a
she's
get
back,
out of
but
bed
we're going to go
finesse
into
point,
a break
please?
anyway, Corinne. So, I've put the stream poll up as my personal Casca Niobe thing in the stream chat. So, if you want to go in there and vote, I shall bring the vote up now. Oh, we've already got some going in, Cora and Glory. And we will go into a break. So, we will see you guys in about 10 minutes' time.
Yeah.
on earth protect us.
Why don't you like them?
You don't know them as I do.
I know they saved us from the marked ones.
There's only one reason why they've been in Lingar.
But no one here has ever seen a marked one.
Who are you? Down here! Amari spirit. It's found in vessel. I'm marked.
What have you done, Ren?
You won't go away, will you, Ren?
I can't leave. My family needs me.
All the people you know will think you're evil, dangerous. They will hunt you down.
Anyone caught harboring a mark will be punished. Anyone caught helping a mark will be punished. Anyone caught in support of a mark will be punished.
Welcome back, everybody. So the vote goes to Glory.
Oh no.
So Glory has a
I'm only
finesse
slightly
point
jealous.
that she can use through her item in combat, or she can use it out of combat. And yeah, we'll see how that pans out, shall we? Just to remind everybody, her ability is Lust, darling. Lust. She can burn a finesse point to suddenly provoke a fantasy in the mind of a target about a second target, if they are capable of being attracted to them. Oop, hang on, just get rid of it. Thank you very much for voting, guys. So, I'm going to say, for the sake of brevity, that the wrestling is going on between Eclipse and Aiden. If anybody would like to attempt something to get Aiden out of his bed, then great. If not, we'll just say that over time it happens.
I was just gonna say, also, as soon as this becomes fucking Eclipse dragging, like, you know, when this becomes a wrestling match, that's when Aiden just gives up and just gets up.
This is too much effort.
Okay. So, Eclipse finally comes down, triumphant, covered in snot. Aiden, little bit of snot. After the wrestle. And by that time, Cora, you're sat at a lovely big plate, a halfling-sized meal, which ironically is twice the size of a human meal, of bacon and eggs, putting it away with your halfling constitution. Farewell is eating his usual, and Glory is sat there looking fabulous as usual, picking away at the breakfast that is going to set her up for the day. You say some small talk, but every time you're about to relay information about the night before, you remind yourself that not everybody's here, and you hold off. Aiden, you get some dark black coffee poured out for you, and Noki winks at you as he gives it to you.
Thanks.
No, I'm going to say that I've got insanely high passive perception, but I know enough to let that go.
Okay. Sure, if you're gonna let it go, there's no reason to roll.
Do I see the wing?
Go on, roll for it.
I would say no. Although
You got have
tears,
insanely high passive.
Let me see. My add +3 to perceptions on the 14. That is 17.
Okay. You do not see it.
Okay. I think I did just get some normal coffee.
and that you're really pleased that he's drinking coffee.
Yes, and not wine.
Yep. Aiden, when your lips touch the coffee, you realise that he's poured a little bit of alcohol into it.
Okay, sure. Keep drinking.
It's nice of you to join us, even if we had to drag you kicking and screaming out of bed. We do like your company.
Indeed.
Just next time, don't be so difficult about it, because you see what happens. We follow through.
Who knows? Next time might be even more annoying.
My paws now, because I keep rubbing my nose in them, are really matted and really grim.
Gloria, you don't happen to know prestidigitation, do you? Because
No, I was gonna ask you the same thing.
no, that's
Acid will do, seriously.
No.
That's not funny.
Teva
Alright,
has left, by the way. He's
Yeah.
marched on into the city.
So, what were we talking about?
Well, apparently everyone had an adventure yesterday. Ours were really fun. There was this portal in Farewell's bed, and then there was this big monster that split into other monsters when we hit it. And I got to try out some really fabulous things. And I looked good doing it.
I got to try out my shadow blade. It was very cool.
I'm surprised you didn't use the lash knife.
Very
well, my shadow blade works really well when it's really dark. So.
Fair. By the way, what did you do?
I'm worried by the fact that you two are becoming increasingly on the same page.
Usually I wouldn't be this talkative, but that thing we got earlier was really, really good, you know?
Good!
Yeah!
I literally can't breathe!
I think it's just bad for cats.
Farewell, you can see that Glory's eyes are looking very slightly, the pupils are very slightly wide.
I'm just gonna lean in, and I'm just gonna take the end of my pencil, and I'm just gonna do the whole. Just follow the end.
It is like you have an actual doctor, an actual GP in the party. I love it. Glory doesn't seem to need to track it with her eyes. She can just see it. She can see everything.
Yeah, and I'm just. Can I take your hand for a moment?
Okay.
I'm just gonna. How fast is her pulse going? Is it as I expect, at about 67 miles an hour?
It is slightly raised, but you do notice that when you ask for her hand shoots out just a little faster than you expected. The temporary hit points I've given Glory is a higher reaction speed.
Right. Stimulants. That explains a lot. Both of you need to take some time. It'll pass. It's fine.
That's
not worried. Yes. Anyway. Aiden. We were talking about Aiden. Yes, go on. Everyone talk about Aiden.
I'd rather not, but okay.
Aiden got taken over by some strange being and nearly shot Renata.
What?
Wow, that's one way to start a conversation.
You didn't
Well,
have
he
to
wasn't
fucking
gonna say it.
You didn't have to fucking bring that up.
Noki
So,
runs up to the table, pulls something out of his pocket, slaps it on the table, and the air shimmers around you. He mutters something under his breath like "fucking idiots" and walks back behind the bar. Any of you who wants to make an Arcana check can do so.
Yes, please.
I know what that is. We've seen it before, so I guess we know what it is.
Yeah, this is a silent spell. It's a privacy spell.
Oh, I was gonna ask for one of those.
I feel he needs a raise.
Yeah,
We really, definitely,
Maybe
Especially
we should
after
talk to
saying that
Renata
death
about
portals
that.
appear in his beds, in full view of everybody else at his bar, where all his patrons are. He's kind of a little twitchy and gimlet-eyed at the moment. He's kind of a little oh, seriously.
I always think of this place as just a green organization place where everyone works for Renata, and therefore we all have stories like this.
Yeah,
but I guess
where
it's
you've
not.
just it is a green organization place. There are a lot of green organization people here, but there's also local people who this is just the nearest place to eat between their home and their workplace. And yes, there are a lot of people from the green organization here, and you guys have just admitted that Aiden pointed a gun at her. Which is why Noki came up and was like, "Don't say that!"
Did you catch what spell they used? Because that sounds really interesting.
You can see the token that he slapped onto the table.
No, I'm asking Cora because the spell they used on Aiden make him point a gun at Renata.
Oh. No, I mean that was the end of a long night. So, flashback. Do you want me to, Aiden, or I mean you can?
You already fucking you already started with something you really shouldn't have fucking said. So you might as well take it from there.
Well, I'm sorry. It took us like half an hour to get you just out of bed. I thought I would just, cut to the chase.
Okay. You are.
Anyway,
I'm looking at Cora and I'm like, your temper's got it even shorter.
Yeah? Well, you should have seen it last night. And I sort of start fiddling with the ring a little bit.
Cora,
I
the food that
didn't
you're
think
eating
you had it in you.
tastes amazing. This is the best fucking bacon you have ever tasted.
Anyway, so Aiden jumped out, ran out last night to go after Olivia, who was zombified in some way. She was.
Wait, what?
She was being possessed by someone or something, and.
No, that wasn't the word you used.
Well, no, because she was walking. She wasn't. I held person, and he tackled her, and she. It was not good, but anyway.
As Cora is stalling,
I'm chewing bacon while doing it.
Yeah, as Cora is stalling with words, I'm just gonna say, Olivia was in danger. Something had kind of, sort of possessed her. It's weird. I tried snapping her out of it by fucking tackling her to the ground.
Which is common, charmed, bit of damage, knocks people out.
Cora, I didn't know Cora was following me, but I guess it was good that she was on this occasion, because as we got Olivia to snap out of it, we got attacked by. By the way, do I know what a Lich Hound is? Or do I just know that it was a weird fucking thing?
You didn't know at the start, but when you saw the kind of animated skeletal giant dog that was only connected by purple fire, it pretty much just screamed what it was.
Alright, okay. After we got Olivia to snap out of it, we got attacked by a fucking Lich Hound and a Deathlock.
Ooh. Those are pretty interesting. I've seen a few.
So,
I've seen one up close.
Glory, you've heard of a a Deathlock. You haven't heard. Well, you don't know much about a Lich Hound, but you do know with the background of your family, you have heard of deathlocks.
Mhm.
Frania has employed a deathlock once or twice. Farewell, you know exactly what a lich hound is. So a lich hound is a familiar of a lich. Can only be created by a lich, and they're made with part of that lich's essence. They are normally used as guardians. If the lich hound is not with the lich itself, it usually means that the lich has been destroyed and the hound is now free to do what it wants. They are fiercely intelligent, despite their bestial look to them. They are fiercely intelligent. Most people think all undead are kind of the shambling hordes. That's mostly zombies, but zombies are the most common type. Deathlock, the second you hear Deathlock, your blood runs cold. Those things are nasty. They are effectively intelligent zombies, a little bit like Animatus. Animatus are intelligent zombies, but the Deathlocks are a little bit extra again by the fact that they usually have access to heavy arcane powers, and they like harvesting souls, not in the devilish way, but they harvest them at the point of death. So they kill, they absorb death, much like zombies do, and they use it to power spells as well as sustain their life force. So that's a quick farewell download. Aiden, you know most of this as well.
I imagine.
Yeah, it's just in the moment, your adrenaline was pumping and you didn't have time to think, but you know most of this as well. If you need to know more or research more, you can both research through your own individual backstories.
Anyways,
That
so
doesn't
yeah,
sound very good.
we got ambushed by a lich hound and a deathlock, which was not pleasant. Apparently,
I'd imagine so.
someone or something, I'm betting on something, sent those out for Olivia. Apparently, Olivia is really valuable in some sort of soul necromancy magic type way.
Why?
And
You don't happen to know what way?
like I will fucking tell you, Glory.
It's important that we all know, I think.
I will let you guys know.
No, I think if he reacts that strongly, it's
just because he doesn't like glory.
No, I don't think he doesn't
Why
like
be
glory.
mean?
I think it's...
Cora, you
personal.
don't know what
Aiden
it
and
is.
Farewell, I want you both to roll insight checks as Farewell's making eyes at Aiden as if to say, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Both of you make insight checks to see if you can have unseen communication. Just your body language.
That's a dirty 20 for me.
Okay. And Aiden?
Oh shit! I didn't know I had to roll because Cole was kind of cutting in and out. Insight, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a bad roll. That's a 9.
Okay. So what happens is that Farewell manages to kind of communicate to you that, it's like, oh, is it this? And you're like, what? And you just have this confused look on your face, and Farewell absolutely nails that you have no idea what he's referring to. So for Farewell only, Aiden will know this as part of his training. He's not an expert in this, but he'll know a bit about it. So getting hold of souls and stable souls is a cornerstone of necromantic magic. Because Olivia is effectively... Farewell doesn't know this at all because they haven't described it to him, but...
I think for me, it's more along the lines of... I know, because Gloria and I have made many jokes about this, that there's a kind of... Well, we assume a relationship between Aiden and Olivia.
Yeah.
It's more for Fel at the moment because, like you said, they've not described what's really going on. Although Cora mentioned something about zombie. Whatever's going on that makes Aiden, and Olivia like herself, this has got something to do with that, and it's too personal for Aiden.
Yeah, so
which
the
is the
only thing
reason.
you've got
So
so
that's why
far
I'm
is
deflecting.
she must have some sort of tasty soul. The types of souls that are important to vampires and liches and greater undead are of casters, normally arcane casters. Divine casters get separated from their god when they die, although there is a way of even perverting that. But mostly it's arcane casters who have an ability to navigate the maelstrom, take power through sorcery or other means. So sorcerers are kind of like the creme de la creme of souls for the greater undead, so that they can create either undead that can wield those powers themselves as part of their minions or army or protectors, or to harvest them themselves, to use them like a battery, maybe place them in some sort of phylactery, or bind them into some sort of object by which they themselves can gain that power.
Which is why I'm deflecting.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm going to assume you both killed them?
Oh, yeah. Again, thankfully Cora was following me, because otherwise I would have gotten pretty fucked. But
yeah, we both got a bit fucked, but I didn't manage to take them both down.
There is a very concerned look on Farah's face of
yeah,
like,
Lich
you
Hunt's no
fucking
more.
said what?
Yeah, we took care of both of those things. And just as we did, Renata stepped in. Which is when what Cora started with, which is something took control of my arm as I held the gun, and it tried to use me to shoot Renata. It did not. I didn't. Nothing happened. But that was
Roll Arcana to have any idea of what type of spells can control a person like that.
Sure. Yeah.
Because that's obviously not charm or such. If it literally just takes control.
Yeah. Yeah. Go for it.
Nice, good call. Good call.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good roll. 23.
Okay, so
Fuck.
you know that the types of things that will do this are suggestion, if the person is amenable to be able to do it at all. Then there's a guess, I think, can cover it to a certain extent. Then the main thing is dominate humanoid. Very powerful spell. The focus of will and the ability to seamlessly pour that much power through your will into another living being is it's incredible power. I mean, it's the type of power that gets the average Tezcatlipoca wringing their hands with glee.
Yes.
There are some other things that can be done. So there's a well-known magical item called the Shackles of Faren, which if you place the shackles onto somebody, they will act at all times according to the spirit of the will of the person who put it on them. So at all times they will act as their master wants them to. There are only 3 sets of these shackles in the world, and only one of them is accounted for. Being that Aiden wasn't wearing shackles at the time, it's not that. There's also a alchemic item, so a potion. You have to get the person to drink it or force it down their neck in the first place. And for 1 lunar cycle, they will completely obey everything that the maker of the potion has to say. And the reason for the fact that the maker is the person that they obey is that part of the potion is that person's blood. It does take months and months to make it, though. Depending on the skill of the alchemist, it can take between 1 and 6 months to make. and some of the reagents that are in there are ridiculously expensive. If you were to sell that with just one of these potions, and bear in mind it'd be useless because the person selling it would be the person who would be able to control that person. The reagent cost alone would probably be within the region of about 50,000 gold pieces. Then finally, there are creatures who can do this as a part of innate spellcasting or innate abilities. Vampires particularly can do this, but domination is something that happens for most demon lords, devils, greater undead, even fae, especially fae. Although fae tend to use charm rather than domination.
Well, it's obviously not suggestion. I'd say we can rule out potions. Definitely not shackles, since you weren't wearing ones.
Bear in mind, you guys are hearing this
domination,
all out of
maybe?
context, and she's like, not shackles.
To be fair for Glory, that's not the weirdest thing we've heard her say. Especially not out loud.
Fae? Demons? Devils? Yeah, that could work.
I'll be honest, I have a terrible, terrible feeling that everything that's going on is all interwoven.
Connected?
Yeah. The rifts under the city, what's going on with Aiden and Olivia, what's going on with me. Maybe and I look at Cora and go, maybe you. I think the only two people that potentially have no connection to any of this is you, Eclipse, and you, Glory. I think both of you are not connected, which is good for you guys.
Well,
we are now
Both of them
for
have
you
bounties
guys.
on their heads, don't they? So.
Well, no.
I don't have a bounty.
No?
Well, depending on where you go and the type. Yeah. But not a real bounty. Like assassins, yeah, sure, but that's family drama.
We're now connected through you.
Hello?
Yeah. Well, shouldn't we tell, or if you want to tell them about what happened for us?
No, in this instance, I'm firmly in the Aiden camp of not really wanting to engage. This whole thing has rather been quite insightful. I kind of get where you're coming from now, Aiden, with a lot of stuff that you do and how you react. It's
But
really
it was so interesting. That thing, not only did it create a silent room, but like it was, the way it was splitting, it was a marvelous construction, really. For them to send it off to you.
Hello, sorry.
That's okay.
It's okay.
We've just had a bit of a shuffle. So, Corinne, you're the DM now. And
Off you go.
Quick, give us all items.
Come on, Simon, you gotta play Aiden. Oh wait, who am I? I'm Eclipse. Oh, I didn't get up. Can't do it.
Did she suddenly turn Scottish?
Yeah.
It was a little bit getting there.
Well, you're not getting out this. You promised you would tell us about it today.
I don't. Glory was already telling everybody what was going on. It's fine.
Yes, but she can tell us she can tell them what happened yesterday, but then you have to build on it because you promised you would tell us.
Oh yeah, you did tell us. You would tell us about your backstory.
Yeah, I think everybody else would kind of forget all of that, Something exciting would happen, because, last time there was an explosion. Before that,
the exciting thing was that Aiden and Cora also had an adventure.
Yeah, I don't like the fact that
we
both did something the same night. I mean, to me that feels like it might be related because they split us up.
I'm a little worried about the fact that both things are also dead.
As I mused, the domination of Aiden and Miss Storm could be like demonic in nature, so it wouldn't be a stretch to think it was something either vampiric or abyssal, such as the other things we've encountered.
Yeah, why does everything lead to the abyss?
Glory,
It's quite an interesting place, to be honest. I've read a
Glory, I
lot
want you
about it.
to roll something that you said before. Roll me an Arcana check. You were saying how the creature, how it was interesting that the creature silenced the room.
Arcana, 12 plus 5. That's a 17.
Okay. So, as you ponder on it, you're reminded of something that you came to the conclusion of back in the fight. The undead that you saw, it was definitely undead. The smell of rotting flesh, the way that the flesh twisted and reanimated, it's a mockery of creation. This is the darker side of necromancy. Using death to create. So using entropy as a way of perpetuating something. Entropy has a way of making things break down into chaos. And it's the will of the gods and creation itself that brings chaos back into order. Well, that's the cycle of it all. Things break down and they're willed back into existence by the gods and the minor creative powers that the gods bestow through magic onto the populace. Necromancy very rarely creates. The only thing that you can think of, and I don't mean creating of undead, that in itself is just a way of pouring energy into things that are already dead. You look at normal spells like Ray of Sickness, and they're all about bringing things down, taking energy out of things, making them rot, making them end. There's a spell called False Life, and False Life is a very commonly used spell, and it is necromantic in nature, where you surround yourself by this pale of, as I say, this mockery of life and a soul, and that gets hit first. Yeah, it kind of just sits on your skin. It's not a very nice feeling, but you know it's protected. So a lot of people, because it's quite an easy spell to cast at lower levels, some people use it for protecting themselves when they're doing something dangerous. You know, even logging and things like that. Some people just know this spell and they use it, and they get over the awful feeling. That's about as far as people take this one particular branch of necromantic magic, but it can be taken to the nth degree, and when it gets taken to that degree, you can create homunculuses, constructs, constructed undead. You can then add extra effects in, just like any other arcane construct, to enhance them. So, for example, there are things like burning skeletons that you can create, and flaming undead. You can sew together the corpses of the dead and create large, shambling monstrosities with many arms and mouths, and, you know, start to mash some of the flesh together so it's got thicker limbs, and it's pretty distasteful. You don't like it because it's not very classy, but, you know, you can understand why people would seek power.
Yeah.
In this case, what you've seen is kind of a masterwork. It didn't look like any kind of Frankenstein's monster, no early work. This is somebody who has very much practiced their craft. This is a constructed undead that had features that were enchanted into it.
Yeah.
So, the silent sphere, the paralysis claws, the ability to split in what is a very crazy transmutive magic. You're spotting about 5 different schools of magic here. Most wizards only specialize in one.
Huh. Guys, something just hit me.
Oh?
that monster we saw yesterday was impressive, but now that I think about it, it's impressive in the way that it shows signs of at least 5 schools of magic. Most wizards only specialize in one.
So you're thinking it's perhaps a group of people making these together? But each
Perhaps.
one perhaps supplying their own school of magic.
That's one idea. Either that or we're working with, well, someone quite more powerful than we currently are.
Joy.
Yeah, that's great.
So you remember when I mentioned about, like, you know, wanting to leave the city, go dig up a corpse and talk to it a couple of days ago? Well, sorry, a day ago now, actually. It feels like it's been so much longer.
Yeah, that was yesterday.
Doesn't seem like such a bad idea now, does it?
No, not really. I think
Oh,
we
by
should
the
do
way,
that.
I didn't ever say, but I noticed last night that I got saddle sores, and they look fresh. I think we maybe only just got back either yesterday morning or the day before. I don't know if that's relevant, but it's a thing.
That's almost more dangerous knowledge than what we've already found out.
So
Because that
source.
There is a part of Farewell that immediately goes into the doctor part of him, which is, do you need me to look at this? And then there's the other part of him that, like, is Cora's friend and kind of stops him and goes, he's like...
I feel like if I see that, I'd be like, I nearly got eaten by a hound yesterday. I'm okay with a few sores. Like, seriously,
Yeah.
like, yeah. I'm okay.
By the way, if I need to remind you, it was the skeletal hound that was on fire. So yes, I think a few sores isn't that bad.
Yeah,
All I'm gonna say is
that's even more necromantic energy. Hey, Farewell.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you know about the school of, what did you call it, Simon? Entropy?
Entropy and necromancy and the cycle of life. Funnily enough, a fair bit. It's kind of the whole point of our church, shall we call it?
Yeah.
It's
That thing we saw yesterday, that was a pretty big part of it.
Unfortunately, and as you saw for how Dusk reacted, enraged, and cast a very powerful spell. Incredibly dangerous. It's not something that you should really have wandering around a city, let alone in the middle of a protected place.
Is there someone who wants to say hi to us?
Yeah, we had that. That's amazing.
That is my cat, Trouble. Trouble is a very, very vocal boy, and when he comes in from being outside, he likes to meow until you either give him a pet or you follow him so that you can watch him eat.
Oh.
So I apologise for that. He does that quite a lot during the stream.
It's great.
God.
Everybody just thought that Eclipse knows ventriloquism.
Yeah.
So, Farewell.
yes.
There's a little bit of a trigger there. Gloria's just said about entropy. People refer to necromancy all the time. Necromancy is the street name for this kind of dark magic. There are only a few organizations who know what necromancy actually is, and it's a double-edged sword in that they know that it can be used safely, but they also know that whatever people imagine in the streets that necromancy can do it's actually far, far worse. The three that come to mind at the moment are Arcanists, which are University lot wizards. Glory is clearly one because she's trained in Arcana. Then there's your church, and then Hunters of the Undead, i.e. Aiden's family. So there's three of you here who know what entropy means. However, I'm going to refer to a cuboid object from your backstory to speak in code a little. The cuboid object in your backstory, Nick, was called the Entropica.
Which I don't know yet. I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
You know the name. They called it the Entropica, and that is it.
Write that down.
And of the few people who know anything about it that are still alive, Simon's one of them. Elijah was the other.
Shit.
Anything
It's
ring
only
a
Glory
bell?
mentioning it that has triggered the memory.
What now? Farewell.
We're all good for leaving, yeah? Yeah, we agreed we're gonna leave.
I could.
I could do with a road trip. I'll have to change
how long?
cars, though.
No, look, we can't leave yet. I still need to speak to Jacob and I don't have my notes. I can't remember.
How long?
Just to see what we found out about Jordan and.
I suppose there are a few things I'd like to look up in the university's library while we're still in the city, if you have something to do.
How long do we have to? Will we be out?
Should take a couple of days.
Well, we were out for 2 weeks last time, remember?
It takes a week to get there. It's 5
Can we leave today?
Why can't we leave today?
Can we leave today? I'm asking, can we leave today?
I'm on board. I'm on board for leaving right now.
We can't leave right now.
Eowyn,
why not?
On your shoulder, Cora, Eowyn says, well, it sounds like just a couple of stops on the way out, surely. Cora's the only person who hears this.
Anyway, Farewell, you still haven't told us what you were going to tell us.
He can tell us in the carriage ride. We have 5 days on the road.
We're not going to have a carriage ride right now, anyway. Farewell.
Shit. I might be getting 7, you know, or I might be getting 4. We all think all of this is connected.
Yeah.
He's connected to me. I'm connected to all of you. We're all connected to one another. The rifts, the undead. I'm pretty convinced that there's a lich. Or liches.
Ooh, now that would be fun.
Again,
I mean, the bragging rights I would get at home if we killed a lich. Now we're talking.
Considering
Exactly the right motivation for Glory, but yes.
Farewell, considering what Cora and I encountered last night, I am like 80% sure we're dealing with a lich in some way.
Yeah.
Death locks and lich hounds.
Well, knowledge the lich must have. This is quite the arcana things that we've seen. I'd love to pick its brain before it dies.
Yeah.
Glory, I will literally stab you through the heart before you get to do that.
Just.
You are adorable, Aiden.
My brother was a bit of a similar to you, Glory in not
Oh?
similar ways whatsoever. In that he liked knowing stuff about magic and how it works in that sense, and so he spent a lot of time with artifacts, because you know what these things are like. You go to a tomb that's spewing out zombies and monsters and stuff, and occasionally you find things in there, and sometimes it's just, it's a magical sword, it's a magical piece of armor. Sometimes it's a cursed object that you then have to spend 6 months trying to cleanse and get rid of, or pass on to somebody else to do it right. And
Or pass on to someone to end them. Yeah, I know.
no, never that one. Never, no, not that. No.
It's a
And
family tradition.
we will talk
Right.
about that another time.
Anyways, are we set to
backstory.
live? To leave?
So Elijah and my aunt and a few others, that was their job. They looked after these things.
Mhm.
They're all missing. They weren't among the dead. They're not among the living that survived. They're missing.
Oh yeah, you were gonna tell us what happened to your family.
I don't know. I remember coming home,
Huh.
doing my rounds. I remember eating a meal. I remember fighting. I remember smoke. And then I remember waking up under a pile of bodies. And that's
Right. That's... Huh.
That's concerning.
For someone to have come after your family specifically, and for those involved with the cursed object, you said, to disappear, well, that can't be a coincidence.
no, and that's why I came here, because if you're going to sell any magical object or any cursed object, you come here. Nobody asks too many questions here. People
That is very true.
sell
Not a
things.
few myself. Yeah.
They do what they need to do, and people, and I'm not really that. But if there is a lich, and there is something to do with necromancy and entropy and all that, I think it might be him, and thus I got to stop him. But I don't
Then we'll help
really.
you.
I don't want to.
Well,
Why?
he
Why
threatened
don't
your
you-
family, killed a bunch of them, and, well, obviously he's made attempts on your remaining family afterwards. Whoever
Is this
this
your brother?
person
You're just stepping for
is,
this.
He's my brother. I mean, I can't kill my brother.
you don't have to. You can look the other way. Of course, only if you feel that it needs to be done. Otherwise, there are ways to seal someone's arcane energy.
Sorry, I need a moment.
Glory,
That
I
was
love you.
so good. Holy shit.
I love Glory to bits, Felicia. I don't know how you get yourself in a headspace to say these things, but I love it to bits. Oh god.
There is the most horrified look on Farewell's face at the moment as she's
I
going down
immediately
this
get
path
up.
of are you fucking shitting me? Just
Wow.
I immediately
Wow.
down my coffee. I get up and I'm like, okay, I think we should probably leave now.
Well, we can't leave.
I need
But
to
why do we
change
need to
clothes
leave?
first.
I
No.
genuinely don't care what they think, what they say. I literally just walking out the door.
Okay, so Aiden, as you pass through
I
the barrier,
don't wait.
there's a ripple, and the sound of the room spills back into your ears. Noki looks up walks up to you and says, I have a message. Renata says, don't worry about the attacker of last night. She believes that because you were on the trail of some form of a necromancer who may or may not be involved with the strangeness that was under the city, that you just got on the radar of somebody who is out for a little bit of vengeance. You did kill Merrick Briarstone after all. So she's going to put the hunt out on these people. She says to go back over your notes, go back over your memories, rebuild the last 3 weeks just in case there's anything that is of value, and don't worry about hunting down this miscreant. She's looking into it. She hasn't got anything at the moment, but she's sending her agents out to do so.
Right.
And if there's anything that can be taken down, she will point you in the correct direction if you wish to be the one who does the job.
Right. Thank you.
Why do we need to leave?
We don't hear any of that, right?
You
That's
guys
outside.
don't, because
No,
you're
no.
all still at the table.
But we see
Well,
them talking.
if we're leaving, I need to change clothes. I'll be back as soon as I got my
Why do
traveler's
we need
ones.
to leave?
What? Because we
We're
need-
already
because
on our
that was
way.
the whole idea. But why do you need to stay, Eclipse? What do you need to do?
First of all, I need to find out what happened in the week if we can find out anything more about our memories, and especially for me, I need to talk to the historian Garrett and see what happened there, because he might know something that we don't.
Well, we could go do that and then head out.
Yeah, and don't we need to speak to Bloodwind as well, that made Arden's gun?
That we don't know that.
Yeah, we
Yes,
don't know
you
that.
do. He
No,
told
we
us.
don't.
No, he told us.
No.
No,
I
he
don't
told us
remember, but
about it.
Aiden certainly knows about that.
Aiden knows,
Yeah.
we don't. He hasn't
Okay.
told anyone.
Yeah,
That's
he
why he's
he
wanting to
hasn't
leave.
told anyone. Because I'm just looking back at my notes. Whilst I've got it written
He
down
has
that
a letter,
Aiden
but we don't
knows,
know.
I've got written down to it. Aiden reads letter, burns it, doesn't
That's
mention
not
it
Bloodwind.
again.
That's not Bloodwind. Bloodwind is the one that made his gun. That's his cousin or something. That's the letter about. I'm talking about Bloodwind, and he talked to Eclipse about Bloodwind. Because we
Well,
all
you know
talked
that
about it.
then. We don't.
And you don't. You know, but we don't.
Yeah, the letter that he picked up was due to Hector. Then there was a letter before that when he first discovered the coffee table that's been put in his bedroom. I'm reading off my notes here. And the coffee table in the bedroom has all the bits that he needs to maintain the witchlock pistol. And there's a note from Bloodwind that says when she's going to be back in town next, which I believe is in, I think that's like 3 or 4 days' time. So Hector comes first, then Bloodwind comes after. I don't have on the notes here whether or not Aiden told you or not, but if you say that that he did.
No, because we were talking about we were talking to, if you remember, we were in the room with the journalist, and we were asking if she knew anyone.
I think I wrote something down about Bloodwind, but
Yeah.
Actually, yes, she would have mentioned. Yeah.
Well, she
Okay.
mentioned something
Can't
about
remember.
ship.
Yeah.
That's what I've got.
Yeah.
I've got
Yeah.
Bloodwind
Yeah.
and his ship's
She
cannon
mentioned
in.
the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. She mentioned.
Yeah,
But I don't know
and
if
then
we know
I
she's
didn't
coming.
mention that she was the one that was with his gun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. But yeah, I mean, if Aiden wants, he can just leave a message for Bloodwind to see him when he comes back. You know, that if you guys wanted to head off onto the road, you can always speak to the people when you get back. If you want to speak to them now, then by all means, that's your character's choice. Just communicate that to the others and do that before you guys head out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
But yes,
I don't know if you put this down in your notes.
Eclipse is very confused at the moment and will tell Aiden to wait before he just goes up and leaves, because she hates it when he does that. She should grab him and take him back. And yes, what I need to do, because we've been running around all week, but I haven't really had time to find out anything about me yet. And I
Well,
would
we
like
had one day, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've only actually we figured out what we all did in our first week.
Yes,
What we
but I
haven't
haven't
figured out.
found
We
out
haven't figured.
any details. You guys have got more details of what you did than I do. I know I trained with lash knife. That's about it. And I know some of my notes in my room, but I need more information.
Okay.
And
Okay.
That's fair.
Okay.
and the ones who has that is probably Garrett and Jacob. So we can go and see Beeper and see maybe if we saw his concert or not.
I mean, if we're trying to head out soon, then there's someone I could go see. While you do that.
I was thinking it might be good for. I was thinking it might be good for all of us to go and see if they might know anything more, because they might have pointed us in that direction because they know a lot about the area, and also it's good if we're all in the same scene.
Okay, sure, let's go.
But yeah, if you wanted to visit someone as well at, before you leave, Kate, it shouldn't be a problem. I mean,
yeah,
we don't have to roleplay going through every part of the city, so.
No, exactly. It's I if we were going anywhere near where I know Lysandra is renting, then I might try and locate her.
Yes.
In case she has information about things,
Yeah.
Just how she reacts when she sees me, etc.
Yeah. In fact, you speak to Noki. Noki reminds you of her address, and it turns out that because you're in the middle of the city, Lysandra is kind of on the way to. It's a little bit of a detour, but kind of on the way to the Historian. Now, this is Simon saying this. Noki, Lysandra's going to be a very quick kind of detour towards the Historians, whereas the Historians, I'm not sure how long that's going to take. It depends on how many questions you guys have, because they are quite
talkative
and quite knowledgeable. So
yeah, I don't
say,
really.
Let's do Lysandra quickly, and then go towards the Historians. If you guys are okay with that.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
because I don't like Cora herself is a bit nervous about it, so she doesn't really want to spend much time. She just kind of wants to see, like, and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I mean, Glory would love to look up like golems and all of that in the library, but like that can wait. The library will still be there when she gets back.
Yep, and you're about to speak to a wizard as well, so you might be able to see if he has any books on that kind of subject.
Oh, that would be lovely for the road.
Okay, so I'm going to fast forward. We've had quite a bit of character kind of pulling and pushing. We'll say that you shamble in a way that only your party can through the city with various kind of provoking and threats and carrot and stick, and you find yourself at a series of townhouses around about here in the city, and there's a section nearby where there's a kind of small bazaar, and it's known as the Free Bazaar. It's this hollow here for those who can see the stream. So that part there where there's no buildings, that's the Free Bazaar. And anybody can go there and just find an empty table, throw their wares on there, and they can sell what they have. Okay? This is nearby, so you can hear a lot of people hawking their wares. For the most part, it's not where people go to for serious purchases. They go there to find bargains. It's a flea market. And the type of people who throw their goods on the tables there, they're not usually the best quality. People go there to get things because they can't afford to get those things in the shops. This is not a poor part of the city by any stretch of the imagination. What it is a very intensive part of the city. It's people who are up and coming. And as a result, there's a lot of townhouses that have been split up into studio flats and kind of first rent, just left parents kind of rooms. So a lot of lodging is here. you walk up to the townhouse that you've been directed to, and there's a bell outside. You presumably ring the bell. And...
Before I ring the bell,
Mhm.
I am going to because I don't think anybody knows about Lysandra.
Oh yes.
So I will, on our walk there, kind of just mention that she was someone that I met. I probably won't go into the whole Ola stuff, but I will hint at it enough that Farewell maybe understands or reminds him that I saw her at the ball because he knows about that.
Oh, a lady friend from the ball. How
Yes.
interesting.
Is that the girl you married?
Well,
Yeah.
we might be
Don't
about to
know.
find out.
Fair. That is important to know. Let's do it.
So yeah, I mean, maybe don't crowd. I don't know. But
We'll stay
Farewell,
back.
well,
You
know,
do you.
I don't know how.
Do you need to borrow my necklace for the fireworks? Make it a spectacle?
No. No, I have no idea. I mean, like, she might not be like that, and that would be weird. And I don't know. It's been 3 weeks. Maybe something happened that wasn't the good thing. But I have some memories, and I can't tell who they're about. This is the only lead I have, so I don't know. Keep your eyes open. Maybe you spot something. Farewell, you're really good at figuring things out. Maybe just really look to see if you see anything. Reaction. I don't know. Anyway, short and sweet. Let's just go in there and see what happens, and then run away again. Ding dong.
Is that
for
I just stand next to her, and I'm just gonna put my hand on her shoulder, and I'll be like, "It's gonna be fine," and I'll cast guidance on you.
Okay.
Ah,
So for
is that
1
a
minute, you
D4?
have a D4's guidance on the next check that you make. A figure is seen through the kind of rippled and mottled glass on the door, deliberately for privacy, but you can see that somebody's on the other side of the door. The door opens, and you guys have never really met a troll, but you kind of, for a second, think, oh my god, it's a troll, and realize too small. But the person who opens the door is this shaggy, white-haired, emaciated, like super, super thin.
He's died again.
Yep, but he should just pop back in, and we'll all be in the right place. This
No.
this thin, emaciated, half-orc woman, who she must be 90 if she's a day, and she's got these cataracty eyes, these yellow teeth. You've heard stories of a creature called a hag, and you think for a second that's exactly what it is. And she goes, "Hello!"
Have we been gone that long?
Hello! Oh, it's you again. Yeah, you'll be wanting Alessandra, won't you? Ali! And she kind of stumps her way into the...
Is it Alessandra? I'm asking DM. I've written down Lysandra.
It is Lysandra.
Oh, okay. You're just... Yeah,
It's just-
carry on.
She's a mad old woman who doesn't remember
adding
people's
flair.
names. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna look at Cora like, are you sure about this? This is just, it's one of those looks of, we can run, no judgment.
Like,
we
you
can
see,
run.
Cora is like... Just there's a little bit of a... She's about to run.
I'm leaving the cams like this at the moment because when Rodrigo pops back in, everything will correct itself. I'm not going to
Hopefully,
reposition
yeah.
the cameras.
Yeah.
So
It's got
sorry
this
for
horrible
those who are
feeling
watching.
that it's died on him completely. I mean, he was on something like 12 or 1300 MS, so he may be fucked.
Oh dear.
We'll see.
Well,
Oh, no. Oh, oh,
hang on, here we go.
Oh, we're back.
Yay!
Hello.
Back!
So,
I fucking hate my internet.
so
You're back.
they've met
Oh,
a
yeah.
mad 90-year-old
Yes.
half-orc landlady, and
Yeah.
she's called for Ali, and we just confirmed that the character's name is Lysandra, and the the kind of Ali, it's for you, is just the mad old lady not remembering anybody's name.
Right.
And Lysandra walks down the stairs. She's wearing a light ochre-coloured dress that seems to have the same kind of embroidery that you've seen on her other dresses, which is of plant life, and then hidden amongst the plant life, normally things like moths, butterflies, beetles, things like that. The same kind of plant and insect motif that seems to be either something that she really likes embroidering or something like that. You're not quite sure. And she sees this, this group of people, and immediately goes, "Oh, hi guys. So you're back? How did it go? Do you have my dress?"
Do we know you?
We need to talk.
Dress?
Okay. You can use the front room if you like. Dears, would you like some tea?
Oh, yes, please. That would be lovely.
Yeah.
Lysandra is behind the landlady, frantically going, "No, don't accept the tea."
We're good for
Too
tea.
late.
Oh, damn.
Well, no.
Okay.
I think you're useful in the fact that Farewell genuinely speaks very softly. And everybody else doesn't. So you'll be like, "Oh, tea, lovely," and then everybody's like, "No tea, no tea." Like,
By the way,
okay,
Simon, am I still snotty and just like a...
Oh god, yeah, you're
Surely
disgusting.
not.
Yeah.
Oh,
You are,
really?
you are,
Bless
you
you.
are not good. Yeah.
We have a really disgusting cat with us.
Okay, so you get into the house proper, and you go into the front room, the guest room, which you have a feeling isn't used all that much. There's a thin patina of dust on every surface, and it smells very faintly of cabbage. You sit down, and Lysandra sits down on the sofa and kind of waits patiently for you guys to start explaining whatever it is that you need to talk to her about. And you notice that the old landlady kind of just goes and sits in a rocking chair, and with her crazy cataracty eyes, every one of you, even though you're sitting in different places within this room, every one of you thinks that she's staring at you. And into space at the same time.
it's not the weirdest place I've ever had tea before.
Yeah.
Are you a vicar?
Won't be the last.
Of a sort.
Oh, what kind of vicar?
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Me? I'm Ethel.
Ethel. I'm sorry, we just need to speak
Well,
to
I was
Lysandra.
Vasanya the Destroyer, but I don't really look like a Vasanya the Destroyer anymore. Someone called me Ethel one day, and I liked the name, so I called myself it.
Why don't you
Now
just go
I'm
with
Ethel,
Ethel?
landlady.
Name, miss.
Yeah, why not Ethel the Destroyer?
I can't even destroy biscuits these days unless I've soaked them for a while. She shows her yellow teeth, and
Wow.
they look like they wouldn't stand up to biscuits.
I totally want this story for another time. I want to know what you destroyed and everything. But do you mind if we just talk privately just for a moment?
Oh, don't mind me, dear. And she just stares into space again. Rather than leaving the room,
Okay.
she's just kind of voluntarily gone into catatonic state.
Do you think it's, I look at the others. I'm like, do you think it's okay? I mean, I'm not gonna say what we said earlier, but
Farewell, you are 83% certain she's not dead.
okay. I'm gonna keep my voice low, hoping she's got really bad hearing, and be like, Lysandra, you've obviously met everyone, but they don't
Yes.
look like they know you because 3 weeks ago we went to sleep, and yesterday we woke up, and we have no idea what happened in the last 3 weeks. We're trying to piece it together, and maybe you obviously can help with at least a few of those hours.
I'm staring intently at her hands. I'm looking for rings.
I was waiting for you guys to say that. There are no rings on her fingers.
Aww.
Such disappointment.
Oh, and your dress, I think, is in my room.
Oh.
I don't know why, or how, or what I was meant to do with it, or
what.
what.
You weren't meant to do
if
anything.
any-
Madeleine was repairing it for me.
Who's Madeleine? DM?
Madeleine is one of the maids. I've mentioned her a few times. She's one of the maids in the tavern.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
She's one of the first ones we ran into.
Yeah. She was also on the landing when you came down to shout at Noki that you wanted to meet Miss Green because you'd been teleported in your sleep.
I remember.
She's been in a couple of scenes.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's just me and my non-existent notes or notes on little scraps of paper. I will condense them at some point.
In that case, Lysandra elaborates and says, we were having a meal, all of us, at the Hawk and Harness, and I spilled some red currant sauce on my dress, and I was quite upset, and you guys didn't kind of understand, but I use natural dyes. It's a bit hard to, once a natural dye and a natural dye get together, that's kind of it for the dress. I kind of like that one. So Madeline said that she was able to get rid of the stain and also stain-proof it for me.
Oh, that's very nice.
That's so sweet.
Okay. Well, that's one mystery solved.
I understand you. It's horrible when that happens to dresses.
Yeah, so Glory kind of knows this, being a fashionista, that you can effectively Scotch guard or water guard a dress using various bits and pieces. And apparently Madeleine knows how to do this.
I'll have to ask her to take a look at all of my dresses. I have a few who could need that.
It's just one that I like.
Very sorry, Lysandra, because, well, we woke up yesterday and...
I'm still not quite understanding what you mean by that. You said you woke up...
What they mean is that we have seriously no recollection of the last 3 weeks. The only thing we remember is that we woke up yesterday in the middle of a town square, and that's about it.
Woke
okay,
up.
I'm sorry, I can't quite... I'm not great at thinking what exactly happened 3 weeks ago. That's quite close to when we first started talking, wasn't it?
Yeah. That's why I wasn't even sure what it... I don't even know what our relationship currently is. Clearly, we're friendly, and...
Right. Okay. Did you get married?
We had... We're wondering that, and one of the candidates who she might have got married to was you, because your dress was her room.
I'm just staring at a clip.
Erupts from her face. This huge blush. She looks at Cora and then kind of looks away, almost as if she can't look at Cora, and she goes, "Well, no, we're just friends. That's not to say you're not lovely, but no."
Hey, I don't even know, guys, if I'm married. Just because it's on that finger doesn't mean anything.
Can I use my finesse point?
Oh, God.
Well, fuck it. We knew
Might
it was
as
going to
well
happen
the first time
eventually.
it's used.
Okay.
I want to use it on Cora about this lady.
Well, I've forgotten what yours does. What's yours do?
Okay, I put it.
You're
not gonna like it. Let's just leave it at that. You're not gonna like it.
Okay, so
fantasy, and I'm like, oh, you bitch! What you doing?
Okay, so this is for Cora's internal. Get rid of that finesse point. Okay, so Cora has a momentary fantasy, and it might just be the suggestion that was made by Eclipse that that you two could have been together. Maybe some strange part of your subconscious that just considers that possibility for a second of did that happen, makes you extrapolate what maybe it would have been like. And
so it doesn't feel like a memory. It definitely feels like
not
it's
a memory.
just a daydream, sort of
It's
like
a daydream
fantasy.
of what that would have been like. However, it's a favourable fantasy if Cora is capable of being attracted to this wood elf. So if she's capable of being attracted to this wood elf, it's quite a potent and slightly flustering fantasy. Okay.
Yeah, I think possibly the potential resemblance to Enola and stuff that fleeting thing could have happened. I think she's been thinking it herself. So yeah, I think we probably see Cora start to go red as well.
I've got to figure something out.
God.
My shipping
You're giving
powers
Rory way too much
work.
power. You have given Rory way too much power.
I never
Simon.
thought in a million years she'd use it now.
You
okay.
fool!
Simon,
I
what
did
the
it.
fuck were you thinking when you gave that power to her?
I didn't. Rattle did. It's all Rattle's fault.
Passing the buck.
If you subscribe, you too can fuck with the players.
Oh god.
Okay. So, Kate, you said that the partial resemblance between Enola and this wood elf.
I mean, I've never described what Enola looks like, and I can't remember if we really described
You
Sandra.
said
But
that
I'm going to
she's got
pretend...
like a Fey ancestry. And
yeah, I
stuff.
mean they're both
They're
elves.
not a million miles apart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although Enola, I would argue, probably looks a little more high elf than wood elf, because Lysandra looks very, very wood elf. She's very pointedly wood elf. So, as this creeps into your head of, did I move on? Did I? And just at that moment where you consider the possibility, there's a fantasy in your head of what it would have been like. And also, because it's a fantasy, it's appealing. And that kind of faraway look, unfortunately, makes poor Lysandra's blush get even worse, and you don't realise that you're looking at her, kind of not checking her out, but sizing her up as kind of like, did we? Did I? Would we? But how would that work? Kind of thing. You're just, for you, it's very much an exploration in your mind, this fantasy, and you're there like, huh. And then you realise you're looking at her and her blush has just got 10 times worse. I would like, because I think a roll is needed here. I would like
yeah, sure. I'm happy
Cora-
to do that. I was wondering about a roll for how she feels after this effect too, because
Yeah.
Fishy girl.
First
Just
of
be-
all,
be-
God, what the hell do you... A charisma saving throw, I think, is probably the best for this.
well, that's not
Good
too
for-
shabby.
The
I should
power
stop
of
trying to
shipping.
use D&D Beyond charisma. So, oh no, use this. It's easier. Quick. Ooh, I have good charisma.
Yes.
Oh goodness.
I'm
That you do. You're a warlock.
21, 22, 23, 25.
Holy
Oof.
moly!
Nice.
Okay, so
yeah, I rolled an
and
18
this
with a
is-
7 save.
We're getting to 11, so I'm going to need to wrap up quick. But let's just do this, and then pretty much we'll come into this and then go straight on to historians for the next session. So, as you do this, the band on your wedding finger, because you haven't told me you've moved it to another finger, starts to burn.
Oh.
And you realise that the burning of the band, got 25, you get quite some insight on this. The band itself burning, you realise isn't an independent effect. The burning comes from inside you, from deep inside you, from inside your subconscious. Some part of you is enraged at the fantasy that you just had. It bubbles up from deep, really deep in your subconscious. And then the band is actually responding to it rather than the band giving you the rage. There have been some times when rage has kind of been taunted and dangled in front of you like a toy in front of a cat. In this case, it's a tiny, tiny little glimmer of rage. I mean, 25, you've hit not just 20, but 25 for a DC, so I'm going to give it in high definition. You're not confused at all about this. So there's something in your deep subconscious a tiny little grain of rage where you feel that you're betraying Enola in some way by even considering this. And that small mote of rage, the small mote of anger at yourself, shoots into the band and makes the band burn. It doesn't do you any damage. And you outwardly, because it's a charisma saving throw, outwardly you are poker face. No one else knows this. This is something just for Cora and Kate. Right?
Oh, right, okay. It's fine. I was only going to say because I was watching.
Yeah, I mean, you can write down player notes so that you can remind each other of stuff, but...
the ring doesn't show any sort of thing. It doesn't glow or anything. It doesn't glow red or anything.
It burns only to your skin. It feels like it's burning, does no damage. You have a sudden understanding that some part of your psyche, some part of your deep subconscious still considers it it still considers it betrayal of Enola, betrayal of a dead person, to even consider having a relationship or what a relationship would be like with Lysandra, which is crazy. You've always been really realistic about how things are, you know, and you know, she's lovely. You know, Lysandra's lovely. Why wouldn't anybody think about something like this? It's, you know, makes sense. It's a healthy thought. You know, you've been grieving for Enola for some time now, and you know, that ring got on your finger somehow. Yeah. Really strange. However, you don't show any of this. This is something that happened in a millisecond. What did happen is that, as I told you before, let's put the blame where it's supposed to be. Not Glory, Felicia. Threw the spanner in the works.
So we can all conclude that whatever bad thing happens is Felicia's fault.
I think that's just a general state of affairs.
Yeah.
That
I like shipping things, and you've just given me power.
Yes, like, so, you do not realise
that's what's happening inside Cora. Outside of Cora, Cora had this thought, had this consideration, was looking straight at Lysandra. Her blush gets deeper, and she goes, no, we're just friends, good friends, but no, we're, okay, so 3 weeks ago, let's just tell this quickly.
Yeah, please.
So, Cora and I have an old acquaintance that we would like to look up and look into, and she's kind of like hinting as much as she can in a completely
I'm giving her a look that is like,
way.
Nope, we're not yet.
Yeah,
because I don't know whether we've discussed it with everyone, but
yeah,
I haven't.
And she's kind of glaring at you as if to say, you know, and so we bumped into each other. I was kind of looking her up to see whether or not she already knew this person or not, and it turned out she didn't, and so we had a chat and we found out we want to get hold of this person for the same reason, well, slightly different but kind of the same, and she starts to fluster and she goes, and so we talked it out, and
all we need to know is if anything really important happened in the week before we left. We're trying to figure that out.
We got to know each other, and it turns out we're really good friends. We're really good friends. And I got to know all of you guys, and we drank a lot, and we ate a lot. And
I have to ask, do I believe her? I cannot let that moment pass and not go, am I sure she's being honest?
You don't even have to roll. She's so flustered right now and so compromised by the blushing that you know she's telling the truth. It's just spilling out. This is textbook truth.
When I had a flash of memory, one of those memories was a kiss.
Yes.
Do I have any insight as to whether or not it was with her? If I'm like looking at it now, can I try and remember what I saw with that memory? Does it place it any better?
Okay. I'm going to do something I haven't done since 4th edition. I want you to roll a insight check, but then I also want you to roll a second d20. Let's call it a luck dice. So first of all, I want the insight check. Switch on your mic.
No, my mic was on. I was holding down my mute button. I rolled a 4, which gives me an insight of 7. Is there any point in even rolling the second dice?
There's every chance. There's every point of rolling your second dice.
Okay, second dice was a 14.
It was a 14. Okay. Okay. So, two things happen. First of all, you can't tell whether or not Lysandra was the person you were kissing. However, as you consider it, the fantasy thing that Glory did to you, immediately you wonder what that would be like. And as you do so, the ring burns again.
Anyway, okay, that's great. We were friends. We should probably go, because we got a lot of things to do, and we got to go on this whole journey again, because we don't know what we did.
Mean, 3 weeks, that's like nearly 21 days. So you've got to, kind of get to know what you've missed, and, well, as I say, we were really good friends, and I don't really know anybody else in the city, so I'd really like to kind of get to know you guys again now that this messiness has been kind of cleared up, and I can tell you a lot more about Sylvania, where I come from, and
oh, that would be lovely.
When we get back, we should...
Well, Lysandra has started going on that entire tangent. I open the door. And I immediately start dragging Cora out because I swear this is best for the both of them. They will explode if they're left.
Yeah, you need to go. Bye.
Yeah, we gotta go. Historian,
I want to be the last one out.
Adventure, and hopefully we don't forget you again. Bye, you in the corner, lady.
Just before we leave, it's just I look at her and I kind of give her the dad look of just.
Is that to Lysandra?
I was giving her the look of.
Ooh. You know what?
And then she gets the slight nod of, we good.
I'm actually going to pause this session there. I'm going to pause the session at the dad look.
Great.
Okay? And I think I
know...
know...
What is your intention towards my Cora?
So, we will bookmark for the beginning of next session, being that we're 10 minutes over. Thank you for everybody for sticking around. Next session, we're going to start on Farewell rolling an insight check.
Oh, okay. Ooh. Okay.
Fun.
Blimey. Okay.
So that was a big pile of... I had so many notes about what you could possibly want to do next. I did not expect...
Getting out of bed.
Yeah.
So you watched as you laid this beautiful, wonderful train track in front of us, and you watched as we slammed into the side of it and just plowed down.
Yeah, to extend the metaphor, there was train tracks ahead of you. You went across the train tracks, leapt over a fence, and nutted a cow. It's a thing.
Yeah.
So...
We didn't even go left. We went at some weird fucking diagonal angle and just was like, this is what we're doing.
Yep.
Dungeons and Dragons, everybody.
Yes. As I said during the break, we had the 2 intense sessions of plot hooks, and then we have to have a certain amount of tangents. So, but you're
it's okay to have some breather.
But everything is fine because Simon has given me the power of shipping.
Oh my word!
This is so bad.
All I can hear in my head now is let's get it on.
It's not just Simon, it's chat as well. Simon and chat have given you all the power.
My phone died halfway through, so I can't actually read chat at the moment. But thank you everybody who
That's
is
fine.
watching. Welcome back to Roan. Fantastic to see them again, and to Seekin, who came in partway through. So we're going to continue with what's been an interesting development. I expected just Lysandra to be a little bit kind of flustery and then tell you some stuff, but heartstrings have been pulled. I need to do some. I need to do some soul searching, as I'm sure Cora does. I'll do some soul searching for this this NPC and see how we go.
Brilliant. Amazing.
Right.
I wonder how many
Glory's gonna
sessions
turn
it'll-
us. Say that again.
I was gonna say, I wonder how many sessions it will be until Simon regrets this decision.
I think the number is 1, and it was this.
I love how Glory was like disaster lesbian, and now she's turning everyone else into a disaster lesbian.
Yeah.
That means
Yeah.
it will be untouched.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Aiden will be the biggest disaster lesbian by the time this is over.
Okay.
Somehow.
Thank you everybody for watching. This is the type of chaos that we live for D&D, and there's going to be more next session as they finish up being dragged out of poor Lysandra's house, and Farewell gets to do dad interrogation by Stare, and then going to see some crazy beat poets, archaeologists, and historians. Because that combination always goes well in D&D.
Bebop is there.
And then after that, going into you guys leaving the city potentially, and retracing your steps for the remaining 2 weeks.
I would say for the first time, but it's not.
It's
in a
not.
way.
It's not. Yeah, you just don't remember the last time.
I am itching to leave the city.
Yes, because things are just going to get better when you haven't got your support structure. But
You do have to deal with us 24/7 now.
Indeed.
I don't know. He can run off and he's untraceable, so who
That's
knows?
true. You haven't even got the city
Oh
to.
shit, he is untraceable, yeah.
He is very untraceable. Yeah. Yeah.
Bye,
He's
Aiden.
been given equal blessing and curse, that object. That object has screwed me over in the past. One of my favorite characters had that.
And you gave it again.
Oh, yeah, of course. Well, Renata used it for certain purposes. So, thank you very much, everybody, for watching. We will see you next week. One of the things I am going to be finishing up between now and next week is restructuring some of our Discord server, and as of next week I will be putting an invite into the chat so that you guys can join us afterwards if you want to talk about things we did wrong to each other. But generally you can just kind of shout at us about consent, although that's already covered by another viewer. Anyway, thank you very much, and we will get that sorted out for next week, and see you next Thursday.
Bye.
Good night, guys.
Bye.